Turner Field in Atlanta for good reason. The Braves host the Phillies in a game that's critical in the National League playoff race, and the much-awaited tribute to one of the game's greatest managers we've known, Bobby Cox. On a picture-perfect day, a hug from Chipper Jones, one of the great players who played for Bobby Cox, and a painting has been unveiled for Bobby Cox as well. A very special day indeed. And welcome everyone to Turner Field. I'm Dick Stockton. And of course the Braves are in position conceivably to clinch a wild card berth today. But Bobby Cox is being honored now. He received accolades everywhere the Braves have played around the National League. But finally, it's time for the curtain call for the great Bobby Cox. And right now, let's take a look back at the career of Bobby Cox. While batting .225 over two mostly nondescript seasons as a Yankee third baseman, Bobby Cox reminded no one of a Hall of Famer. But his greatness lay not in playing the game, but in leading the men who do. And in 1978, he got his shot, replacing Dave Bristol as manager of the Atlanta Braves, at the time arguably the worst team in the majors. During his 4 seasons at the helm, Cox laid the foundation for the Braves' success in his wake. In 1982, he migrated north of the border, improving the Blue Jays' fortunes over the course of 4 seasons, including Toronto's first postseason berth. Cox returned home to Atlanta as a general manager after the '85 season, but his real home was the dugout. So it was in June of 1990 that Bobby Cox slipped back into the uniform that would define his lifetime in baseball. In his first full season back at the helm, the rejuvenated Braves went from worst to first, coming within a single run of the ultimate prize and beginning a run of dominance the game has never seen. From 1991 through 2005, the Braves won each and every National League East crown, a streak interrupted only by the 1994 strike. 14 division titles in 14 completed seasons. Indescribable. But it didn't end there. In 1991, the first of 5 World Series appearances for Bobby's boys. Most notably in 1995, they reached the mountaintop in Atlanta as the Braves finally won the big one for the first time since 1957 in their Milwaukee days. Some would say it's the numbers that define a baseball man's greatness, and certainly the numbers are there. 29 seasons, 4,503 games managed, 2,503 wins, 4th most in history. But Bobby Cox's legacy lies not only in stats and trophies, it endures in the admiration and respect of the players he led. And right now, I'm joined by my partner, Eric Karros, here in the booth. And Eric, how about the players' perspective of what they thought about the manager, Bob?
Well, you know, as you mentioned, the wins and losses are as impressive as any manager in the game. But I think what separates Bobby Cox is his ability to relate to the players and really stand behind the players. Actually, I should say stand alongside. I remember Gary Sheffield telling me that, you know, he was up at bat in the 9th inning of a ball game, a questionable call at the plate. And the game was meaningless at the time, a blowout. He didn't like the call, so he's stepping out, he's arguing, he gets back in the box, and there's still somebody arguing. It's Bobby Cox supporting Gary Sheffield. And that's how he earned the respect from his players.
And that's why he had so many ejections. But let's look at some of the career achievements of Bobby Cox, and there are many. Let's start with the 4th most victories all time. How many 90-win seasons? 15 of them. 21 straight seasons as the Braves manager. Talk about longevity. And moments ago, he spoke to the crowd.
These last 3 decades have just been magnificent. And I want to thank you, the fans, for sharing this with my family and me today. I want to thank my wife, Pam, the family. Baseball's not always easy, but they've always supported me, and I love you for that. we do have a lot of pennants sticking up there. I had a very small hand in any of it, actually. John, Frank, Terry, Hank Aaron was a big part of this, and they've always supplied the great.
And by the way, we have an important baseball game to be played today between the Phillies and the Braves, and we'll be back to Atlanta in just a moment. Game, the next to last game of the regular season.
Well, you know, this is the biggest game of the Atlanta Braves season, and it's today. Tommy Hanson, he takes the ball for the Braves. Now, you look, in his last 17 starts, he's only 3-6, but he's got an ERA of 2.5, and opponents are only hitting a bit over 200 against him. Now, he's going against the Fightin' Phils. The reason they call them the Fightin' Phils, they never quit. And even though they've got the division wrapped up, they're going to the playoffs. They put a spanking on the Braves last night, scoring 11. They're going to try to do the same today.
And, Eric, they swept them last week in Philadelphia, so the Phillies already with the best record in the National League. And Bobby Cox, really what he's concerned about, winning the game, getting into the playoffs, something we've seen him do before. kids take the field. Chipper Jones exchanging the lineup cards. And right now, let's pick up some of the comments that Chipper Jones made to the crowd during the pregame festivities for Bobby Cox.
20 years later, 14 straight division crowns, 5 National League pennants, and 1 World Series championship, we stand here to celebrate the career of the greatest manager that any of us will know. On a personal note, I think I speak for every player here in uniform, for every manager that is now managing who once tutored under you, that you have been the single biggest influence on all of our lives. And I want to personally thank you for taking a chance on me. I've been trying to make you proud for 20 years. I've heard Bobby say many times this year that the 2010 team was the hardest working club that he's ever been around. And I can honestly say that this team made him laugh more than any team that I can remember. He's really taken a step back and enjoyed the gratitude that the game of baseball all across the country has given him. In city after city, you've seen teams just reach out to Bobby and show them their gratitude for everything he's meant to the game of baseball.
And we're sure that Bobby Cox wishes he had Chipper Jones, who's on the disabled list for this push to get into the playoffs. Well, this game is brought to you by Budweiser, the official beer of the thirst inning, the beer that starts with full flavor and ends with a crisp, clean finish. Budweiser, it's what we do. So the Braves have taken the field, and today's Phillies starting lineup is brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. And the Phillies, who started 6 of their 8 regulars, go on with the regulars once again, at least to start today. Jimmy Rollins leading off at shortstop. Placido Polanco will be at third. Chase Utley is at second base, and Ryan Howard at first hitting cleanup. Raul Ibanez is in left field. Shane Victorino in center field. Rookie Dominic Brown will be in right. Ryan Schneider batting 8th behind the plate, and Vance Worley will be on the mound, making his second career start and 5th MLB appearance. But here's Tommy Hanson, 10-11, and a huge game for him, Eric.
Well, it really is, and he'll be making his 34th start today, and that's a career high. It's also a team high. Fastball, slider, curveball. Really for him, his job is just to keep this Philly offense at bay.
And here is Jimmy Rollins, the switch-hitting shortstop. And Rollins has been ailing most of this year. Returned for his first start after missing 14 games with a hamstring pull. Actually has missed 74 games this year, hitting .242, lowest of his career. And we're set to go, in the first pitch of the game is a fastball for a strike. Rollins with 8 homers and 41 runs batted in. And last night hit a big grand slam home run, the 3rd of his career. Fouled off the screen, and it's 0-2. On deck is Polanco, who's had some injury problems of his own. Phillies, though, finishing with a huge flourish and capturing the division title, their 4th in a row. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Rollins. Charlie Manuel, who's just stayed steady throughout. Got some of his players back at the top of the order, and they responded. Count now even at 2-2.
Well, I think it's understated. We just showed a shot at Charlie Manuel about how, he doesn't get a lot of credit. I mean, he's always been, well, he's got this great offense and the pitching now, but this is a guy that is beloved by his players, knows what he's doing.
Ground ball to the right side, backhanded by Lee, and he flips to Hansen for the first out. And you saw the 21-6 record, including 11 in a row run off in September. Time for our Ford keys to the game.
Well, for the Phillies, they have to pressure the Braves. And what I mean by that, they get on base, they can run. Tommy Hansen has given up the most stolen bases as a pitcher in all of baseball. Phillies have nothing to lose, so they can play a bit reckless. Atlanta has to get to the Phillies early. Got a young pitcher out there, get to him early, and give Tommy Hansen some run support. Guy gets next to none.
Here's Placido Polanco hitting .298 on the year, and a comebacker off the glove and into center field, and a base hit, so the Phillies have a base runner with one out in the first. San Diego Padres have jumped in front of the Giants 1-0 in the first inning. Cincinnati, the winners in the National League Central, in front as Chase Utley comes to the plate. Utley batting .276 with 16 homers and 64 runs batted in. Utley has missed 43 games with his sprained thumb, and that's when the Phillies just flat out were not hitting.
Well, they weren't, and really this time of year, the last month or so, is when all of the pieces have been back for this Philly ball club. The offense has started to click. But you look at this Phillies offense, and to a man outside of Carlos Ruiz, who's not in there today, the catcher, nobody is having a career year. You know, that's what's amazing with what they've done so far this year.
But they certainly have the starting pitching, and we'll go over that, and they're really lined up for the playoffs impressively. Here's the 0-1 pitch, and it's down low, 1 ball and 1 strike. In that San Diego game, Barry Zito walked Yorby Torrealba to force in the first run of the game. Ryan Howard waits on deck for the Phillies. 1-1 the count to Chase Utley, facing Tommy Hansen here in the top of the first. Polanco with the lead. Good pitch in on the fist, foul back, 1-2.
And just a fastball in on the hands, and right now as a hitter, very difficult to see up there because of the shadows. On top of that, you've got a right-hander that throws extremely hard. Difficult to pick up any type of spin on the ball.
Tommy Hansen, who has struck out 167 to lead the Braves in that department. Ahead on the count, 1-2 to Chase Utley. And he strikes him out for the second out of the first inning.
Not much you can do with that as a hitter. It's a great slider, but on top of that, because of the shadows, very difficult to pick up any type of spin. The off-speed stuff, very effective. Take a look at those shadows right there, Dick. Not very easy. That's tough for us to even see the hitter.
And here is Ryan Howard, who is 4th in the league with 108 runs batted in and tied for 8th with 31 home runs. Ryan Howard hit 45 homers last year and knocked in 141. But he has done well at Turner Field in the power department. He looks at a fastball up high, ball 1. And here is the sprint player first for Ryan Howard. Last 5 years, leads the big leagues with 229 home runs.
Well, just a monster at the plate. I mean, a true slugger.
Pitch is high and away, and Hansen falling behind Howard 2-0, and Barry Zito having control problems early out in San Francisco as he has walked in another run, and the Padres lead the Giants now 2-0. First time this year that Zito has walked 2 with the bases loaded, and Hansen misses high and away again, and it's 3-0. 3 balls and no strikes to Howard with Raul Ibanez on deck. Magic number is 2. That means any combination of 2 Brave wins or 2 Padre losses will result in a playoff berth for Atlanta. Ryan Howard walks on 4 pitches, and runners now at first and second with 2 down, and Ibanez coming up. Ibanez batting .276 with 16 homers, 81 runs batted in. He had a cold first half and a blistering second half to the year. Exactly the opposite of what he achieved last year.
No, he's really come along this second half, an integral part of this offense.
And there is a slider that misses. And now 5 straight pitches for balls thrown by Hansen. Phillies lead in the season series 9-7, and they've taken 4 out of 7 from the Braves here. And Hansen obviously trying to keep the pitches away from these left-handed hitters, having trouble finding the plate behind 2-0.
Well, if I'm the catcher right now, Brian McCann, I've got to work more towards the middle of the plate. Now, obviously, that's not where you want the pitch, but he continues to miss outside, and he's almost gotten to a slot where he can't move it anywhere else but outside.
And again misses outside, and it's 3-0, and the crowd getting a bit apprehensive here. And his manager looking in from the dugout. The count is 3-0 on Ibanez after Howard walked on 4 straight pitches.
And you watch where Brian McCann is setting up. That last pitch set up off the outside part of the plate.
And there's a fastball for a strike to the cheers of the crowd. 3-1. Three balls and 1 strike, 2 down. Polanco is at second, and Ryan Howard at first base. Hansen's 3-1. And on the outside corner for the strike, and the count is full.
Generous call there by umpire Jim Joyce. You see Brian McCann bringing it back. But if you continue to miss out there, not as a hitter, you're saying, well, hey, I can't have the pitcher get that pitch.
3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, and the runners will be off on the pitch. Here it is, and the pitch fouled off out of play to the left, and we'll do it again.
And you can see an absolute pattern of the way these Braves are approaching these hitters. Not uncharacteristic of all the success they had in the 90s with Leo Mazzoni. Pound the outside part of the plate. What Tommy Hansen is trying to do right now. If he threw him a slider on the inner half, it would absolutely tie him up.
Polanco at second, Howard at first. Again, the 3-2 pitch. The runners are off, and a chopper to second base. Omar Infante makes the play, and that retires the side. So Hansen pitches out of it. 2 left for the Phillies. Braves coming up in the first. By Taco Bell, think outside the bun. Omar Infante leading off. Rookie Jason Hayward, very impressive young man batting second, Brian McCann hitting third, and Derek Lee batting cleanup. Brooks Conrad hitting in the fifth spot, Dayton McClout in the sixth spot, Alex Gonzalez batting seventh, Rick Ankiel hitting eighth, and Tommy Hanson batting ninth for the Braves against Vance Worley, who's making his second career start and only his fifth big league appearance.
Yeah, Charlie Manuel was telling me that, he's got a bulldog type mentality, a lot of fortitude, good fastball, gets you up there a little over 90, breaking ball, a changeup. I think what will be important for him is just to have some success early on, because as he has success, the confidence will increase.
Charlie Manuel, of course, bypassing Roy Halladay, Roy Oswalt, and Cole Hamels in this series, although he did indicate to me that Oswalt may pitch an inning or two in tomorrow's series finale. They are all set and lined up to go in that order when their playoff series starts on Wednesday. Omar Infante will lead off. Infante, third leading hitter in the National League, batting .320, has 8 homers and 45 runs batted in. So he has had a big year, and really one of the factors in the Braves being where they are. First pitch, good fastball for a strike.
You mentioned the year that Infante's had. I think he's been a real surprise for this Brave ball club. Martin Prado, who's out, also successful.
And a chopper playing in is Polanco, and he'll make the play for out number 1. Time for a DirecTV game break. DirecTV, the only to watch every MLB game. And Barry Zito having trouble finding the strike zone. And Scott Hairston walks. David Eckstein scores. And the San Diego Padres trying to stay alive. They still have a shot at catching the Giants in the NL West, taking a 2-0 lead. Here's Jason Hayward. And Hayward hits a tough hopper, and Polanco rushes the throw, not in time. And that should go as a base hit. That was hard hit by Hayward and tough to handle by Polanco, and the Braves have a base run.
Well, I think coming off the left-handed swing, it had some side spin on the ball. Not sure that it was absolutely smoked, though, but Polanco, a sure-handed third baseman. Very rarely will you see him not make the play.
So Hayward is on, and they're going to charge Polanco with an error. And that'll bring up Brian McCann, who leads the Braves with 21 home runs. He has knocked in 77 as well. So the Braves with a base runner. First pitch missing, ball 1. And now we understand that Cole Hamels is scheduled to start in tomorrow's series finale and the season regular series finale against Tim Hudson. Hamels will be starting Game 3 of the National League Division Series. 2 balls and no strikes to McCann. Hayward has 10 stolen bases this year. He has a good lead. And a call strike, 2-1. Vance Worley, 23-year-old from Sacramento, California, and a rookie, last appeared Sunday against the Mets.
Now you see right there, Dick, that the shadow's gone right now. Real help to the Braves offense.
You wonder if that's done by design.
I think that was part of the acknowledging that it's Bobby Cox day right now.
Get all the breaks he can get. Here's Derek Lee on deck. Here's the 2-2 pitch, and chasing it and striking out is McCann for out number 2. So Worley gets the strikeout here.
Well, and see, that's one of the things. When you face a pitcher for the very first time, a young pitcher, as a hitter, you don't know what he has. I mean, you can read about a scouting report, you can watch video, but there's no substitute than standing in on the box. And that's why, there may be an advantage for this Philly ball club, because the Braves have no idea what Worley will do to him.
Here's Derek Lee, who knocked in a season's high 5 runs last night. in a losing cause, fouls off the first pitch, facing Vance Worley. And interesting about how Worley learned Ken Rosenthal that he was getting the start today.
Right, he was visibly unsettled, Dick, when I saw him yesterday. He had just found out about 4:45 that he was getting the start officially. Pitching coach Rich Doobie told me that he had an idea, but Worley is a young kid. He wasn't all that sure. He said he would be tense the rest of the day.
Coming on in is Victorino to make the catch, and Ken, he gets out of the first inning as the Phillies make an error. The Braves lead 1, no score, moving to the second. Sponsored by Taco Bell, think outside the bun. By Sprint, the Now Network. And by the new Ford Fiesta, it's a pretty big deal. No score. The Shadows were back for a moment, but now the sun has dipped behind the clouds as Shane Victorino leads off for the Phillies in the second inning. Phillies center fielder hitting .258 with 18 homers and 68 runs batted in. And if he gets on base, he's a threat, tied for third in the league in stolen bases, and takes ball one.
Well, you mentioned getting on base. He's been in a bit of a rut, 3 for his last 28. He's somebody that is real key to this offense because he does create a problem by stealing bases.
Swings and misses, fooled by that pitch by Tommy Hanson, who pitched out of a first inning jam with 2 on.
See, that pitch bounces. And we mentioned Victorino having struggles, been away to attend the birth of his child.
And there's a shot to center field for a base hit. Second hit of the game for the Phillies, and Shane Victorino with a leadoff base hit. 34 stolen bases on the year, and let's see how the Phillies play it with the rookie Dominic Brown coming up. Brown in 34 games, hitting .217 with 2 homers, 13 runs batted in. But he's a promising outfielder and was the top prospect out of AAA for the Phillies.
Really, and had an absolutely huge at-bat last night in the Phillies win. Came up with the bases loaded, and the ball game was tied, 2 outs. And you take a look at Shane Victorino just getting back. Dominic Brown ends up drawing a walk. They go ahead 3-2, and then Jimmy Rollins hits a grand slam. And
just getting back again, just in time as Victorino.
Well, Victorino is going to run. As I mentioned earlier, Tommy Hanson has allowed the most stolen bases of any pitcher in the game, 33. When he's been on the mound, they've only caught 11% of the base stealers.
Bluffs doesn't go, and the first pitch to the plate is a strike on the outside corner to Brown. Dominic Brown, no stranger to this area, as he attended high school in Stone Mountain in Georgia, just 15 miles east of Atlanta. Pretty good stolen base percentage and leaning the wrong way, and they seem to be getting closer every time the throw goes over there.
But that's what good base stealers do. They get off far enough where they're just getting back ahead of the tag. You know, if they're getting back easy, then that tells you that as a base stealer, you're not out far enough. You can take another step, and that can make the difference between being safe or out on a stolen base.
Count is 0-1 to Dominic Brown. And Tommy Hanson paying a lot of attention to Victorino, who led off with a single.
Well, and he has to. It's not if Shane is going to go, it's when.
Here he goes, and the pitch is grounded. Great play made by Gonzalez. The throw to first, not in time. What a great play by Gonzalez, who is going to cover second and made a great backhanded stab of that hard-hit ball to get the force on Victorino. And now claiming interference. Bobby Cox comes out of the dugout right there, preventing Gonzalez from getting a throw over to first. And the second base umpire, the crew chief, is Darrell Cousins.
And it's the right call because Shane Victorino doesn't go out of his way to try to obstruct Alex Gonzalez. He stays on the bag as well he should, waiting for the umpire to make a call. Doesn't run into him, doesn't fall over him. Now, it's one thing if Shane Victorino would have, fell on him and just kind of tackled the guy. Then Bobby Cox has an issue, but he doesn't. It's the right call.
And Gonzalez with a sensational play, considering that he was almost past the baseball, almost overran it, and it was hard hit. Here is Brian Schneider with a base hit to right field, and stopping at second base is Brown. So the Phillies have their third hit of the game off of Tommy Hanson, and runners at first and second with one away.
Well, this is just a ground ball through the right side. Now, this is where a left-handed hitter really has the advantage when a runner is on first base. First baseman has to hold the runner. Big hole on the right side. Brian Schneider benefits.
So here's Vance Worley, who is just 0 for 1 at the plate.
Oh, he'll be bunting right here.
Struck out his only plate appearance. Lee and Conrad getting ready to charge from the corners. And he bunts it foul and in the air, but straight back.
Everybody always thinks it's so easy to bunt. Oh, you should be able to bunt. Well, anybody can get in that batting cage and bunt balls when they're 50 miles an hour coming out of the machine. But it's a lot different when you've got a big league pitcher on the mound. The ball's doing all sorts of things. A lot more difficult than it looks.
And fielders charging. Here's the 0-1. Lays off it, and the pitch is up high, 1-1. Tell you how tough the Phillies have been this year. We talk about the Braves at home, best in baseball. How about the Phillies, who have won each of their last 8 series on the road and taking the first game of this 3-game set last night? And the bunt is foul off to the right, so it's 1-2 on the pitcher. 2 runners on and 1 away here in the Phillies' second.
Well, you talk about how well the Phillies have played on the road. It goes back to where they had just been swept at home by Houston and lost 4 straight. They go out to San Diego. This is when San Diego is as good as anybody in the big leagues, and they take 3 from the Padres, and that really set them going for the month of September.
And that's the experience of a team that's been to a World Series, that's won a World Championship, and bunting and offering at it. Strike 3, and Worley is out of there for out number 2.
Well, as I said, it's a lot easier to be bunting that ball in the batting cage when it's 50 or 60 miles an hour. People say, oh, well, gee, you should be able to bunt, or, hey, it was bad form. But I'm telling you, you stand up there in that box, a lot more difficult when the ball's curving, sliding, and moving at 90-some miles an hour.
So the top of the order, Jimmy Rollins coming up for the second time in as many innings. He bounced out to the right side his first time up. Dominic Brown is on its second. Brian Schneider at first. And bluffing back to second. No one was covering the bag. Is Hansen. And now the shadows of just past the pitcher's mound.
Still difficult for the hitter. Jimmy Rollins, the big grand slam last night.
Took something off the pitch and takes ball one. In fact, right now Hansen is in the sunlight. And the rest is all shade to the plate. Two down and two on for the Phillies here in the second. Down low. Last night, Jimmy Rollins hits the first offering from Michael Dunn, a grand slam homer, and that put it away for the Phillies.
And remember, that followed the bases loaded walk to Dominic Brown, which put the Phillies ahead 3-2, and then that home run made it 7-2.
And that was rare for the Braves relievers to give up home runs. Allowed only 34 this year, second fewest in the league, as Rollins fouls it off. Big problem for the Phillies when they were trailing early in the year, Eric, was the fact that they didn't have the top of the batting order healthy to get on base for the likes of the Howards and the Ibanez.
No, you're exactly right. Rollins really hasn't been healthy all year long.
Here's the 2-1. 3-1 now to Rollins with Polanco on deck and one pitch away from loading the bases. There's the rookie Brown and Schneider on it first. Remember, the magic number is 2 for the Atlanta Braves to clinch a wild card berth. Here's the 3-1 pitch and slowly hit to the right side. Infante gloves it and will make the play to retire the side. But the Phillies lead 2 on base for the second straight inning. And after 1.5, no score. Well, on the day that Bobby Cox was honored by 85 of his former players who were present and from the fans of Atlanta after getting tributes in just about every park he visited in his final go-round. Bobby Cox, 69 years old, completing a 51-year career in the game of baseball. And, of course, like nothing more than for the Braves to get into the postseason. Brooks Conrad leading off in the last of the second. Braves third baseman takes a fastball outside, hitting .248 with 8 homers and 31 runs batted in. And the switch hitter has had to fill the gap with Chipper Jones on the disabled list. But what a job he has done, particularly at the plate. Fastball, and it's 1-1.
Well, he's been good. He's had some big hits. He's been more productive later in the game. Thus, everybody gets excited when he comes to the plate.
Christmas coming early to Atlanta.
Man, it's a good look right there.
Twin Santas. 2-1 to Conrad, who has 2 pinch hit grand slam homers this year. He has been the people's choice, and lately the player's choice as well for what he's done.
Well, again, it's been the late inning heroics. The reality is, though, through the first 6 innings, hasn't been that offensively inclined. Struggled last night, made a big error to open up the inning where Jimmy Rollins hits the grand slam. Felt bad about it. Look, you're trying to fill the shoes of Chipper Jones, please. I mean, that's a Hall of Famer right there.
3 balls and a strike. Conrad trying to get on base. Takes a big cut and fouls it off to the right. So the count is full. Nate McLouth is on deck for the Braves. So the magic number is 2 as we look at Chipper in the dugout. Any combination of 2 Braves wins or Padres losses will put Atlanta into postseason. And we know that San Diego leading in the 3rd inning 2-0 over the Giants. Padres beat the Giants last night. Payoff pitch. Ball 4, and Conrad draws a leadoff walk here in the second. Charlie Manuel, 6th year with the Phillies, and has a world championship ring back in 2008. The Phillies beat the Rays in 5. And here's McLouth in 83 games hitting under 200. He's had his injury problems as well. Missed 33 games due to a concussion with his Jason Hayward. Ball 1 inside.
And McLouth coming over from the Pirates just has never been the same player here in Atlanta that he was in Pittsburgh. He was an all-star there, Gold Glove winner. But he struggled this year, spent some time in the minor leagues. Since he's been up, though, Dick, he's had some pop, run into a few balls, but just hasn't been the offensive player that they had hoped.
Braves with a runner at first, nobody out, and 1-0 to McLouth. And now the count, 2 balls and no strikes, as the Braves trying to capitalize on young Vance Worley, who has worked just 8 innings coming into this game. And there you see the difference for McLouth when he's playing here at Turner Field and when he's on the road. 3-0 now to McLouth, as the Padres have added another run in the top of the 3rd inning and now lead the Giants 3-0 as Brian Schneider goes to the mound. On deck is Alex Gonzalez, and a recent dinner with his coaches had to be pretty interesting, Ken Rosenthal, for Bobby Cox.
Thursday, and what happened was that a gathering of about 20 people, video personnel, coaches, trainers, PR officials, front office people, and everyone stood up, said something, stood up and had something to say, but some of the people there were so emotional they could not find any words.
It's a difficult time when you've been in the game as long as he has. Conrad with the lead, 3-1 the count to McLouth. Fouls it back, and it's 3-2 now. Give you an idea about Bobby Cox's tenure in the game of baseball. Here are his win totals with 6 different presidential administrations. Going back to the days of Georgian Jimmy Carter. 3-2, Conrad with the lead takes off, and the pitch, strike 3 called, to throw to second in time for a strikeout, throw him out double play, and there are 2 down for the Braves here in the second.
Nice throw by Brian Schneider. You see Worley continuing to work that outside part of the plate. Schneider setting up inside. He catches it. It's over the plate. He just has to move, makes a good, strong throw. Gets Conrad by a number of feet.
So the Braves, with the leadoff man on now, bases clear, 2 out, and Alex Gonzalez swings and misses on a fastball. Gonzalez in 70 games with the Braves, hitting .242 with 6 homers and 38 runs batted in. The 0-1 pitch, call strike 2. What about Gonzalez when he learned of the trade from Toronto, Ken?
Well, Dick, he had about 5 calls that morning. It was shortly before the All-Star break. And he didn't pick up the phone, thinking, who's calling me? It's really early. I'm on the break. Well, it turns out the calls were from his agent, Eric Goldschmidt. And when he finally looked at the phone, he realized it could mean only one thing. If his agent was calling that early in the morning, he had been traded.
It's a good little call there, though. I mean, you're going to the Braves. Heck, I'd take that call any day of the week.
Probably didn't know what the subject was. Here's a pop-up, foul territory, as Schneider and Ryan Howard give chase, and Howard makes the catch for the 3rd out. And so we've completed 2 here at Turner Field. No score between the Phillies and the Braves, and we'll return to Atlanta after a word from your local Fox station. Rosenthal, Phillies batting in the 3rd. Placido Polanco leading off and taking ball 1. Polanco singled to center field in the 1st inning. The Phillies have 3 singles in the game in the first 2 innings and have left 4 men on base. Against Tommy Hanson, slapped out of play to the right, and it's 1-1. Seeing Bobby Cox, priceless, and that, for Atlanta fans we know about, coming from the Midwest in Omaha, respect what Bobby Cox has meant. And talk about respect. Being respectful is about what he was all about. There's a call strike. Bobby Cox says he's really going to miss the groundskeepers, the clubhouse guys, the support people. And it's the little guys you don't hear about, and that's who Bobby treated with respect throughout his career.
Well, he made everybody feel important.
Ground ball, base hit past Infante into center field, and Polanco has his second hit of the game. Minnesota Twins heading for postseason, bottom of the ninth. And the Blue Jays are winning 4-3. 2 out, bases loaded, and Alex Casillas singles up the middle off of Kevin Gregg, Ben Revere, and Jason Repko score. And the Twins win it by a score of 5-4. Minnesota now 94-67. The Yankees at 94-65. They're playing a doubleheader with the Red Sox, still with the best mark in the American League. Well, here's Chase Utley, and the Phillies have Polanco on at first base. Utley struck out his first time. Fastball fouled on the screen.
Again, you mentioned earlier the Phillies, the first 2 innings, put runners on first and second, unable to score. And for me, Tommy Hanson hasn't been aggressive. He's got great stuff, but it's almost as if he's nibbling. He doesn't trust his stuff.
He said this is the most important game, obviously, of his career, as the Braves trying to nail it down. Fly ball to right field. Hayward has a play on it on the warning track, and he makes the catch for out number 1 as Polanco trots back to first. 1 out, 1 on, and the dangerous Ryan Howard coming to the plate. He walked in the first inning. We know the Braves have had injury problems. The Phillies, you go down the list. Howard missed 16 games with a sprained ankle in August. What a great career he's had. And if this team is hitting to go along with those starting pitchers, Eric, the Phillies could have a clear shot to get to the World Series again. Howard fooled on the off-speed pitch, strike 1.
I think there's well balanced. You talk about balance right here. It's off-speed. Again, you got the shadows. Very tough to pick up the spin as a hitter. Those are nice right there, boy. That's when you hope you're not up that inning.
There's a breaking ball, and it's inside 1-1.
But getting back to this Philly ball club and talking about their hitting, and if they're hitting, then they've got a real good shot. They've got the big 3, and but they're about as complete a team. And we don't even talk about their defense, but in either league, I mean, they're as good as anybody.
Check swing. Did not go around as Jim Joyce checks with Jim Wolf, the third base umpire. Joyce calling balls and strikes today. Crowd didn't agree, and obviously neither did Bobby Cox, who's still jabbering out at Jim Joyce and perhaps at Jim Wolf as well. 2 balls and a strike. Swing and a miss. So far, Howard has been fooled by the offerings of Hanson.
Well, and here's another off-speed pitch right there. And again, as I mentioned, I mean, it probably gets nauseating hearing it, but it's difficult as a hitter to pick up the spin when there are shadows.
You can say it as many times as you want, and my stomach is fine.
You're going to hear it a lot more than today, Dick.
Well, and I got to wonder about it. 2-2 breaking ball is inside, and the count is full, 3-2. Polanco on at first with a leadoff single. 1 out here in the third inning. The Phillies have threatened in the early part of this game, but have not been able to score as of yet. And there is the shift, as Gonzalez now moving to the right of second base. And the fastball, strike 3 on the inside corner, as Tommy Hanson, mixing his pitches perfectly, strikes out Howard for out number 2.
Been going at him with the off-speed stuff, the breaking ball, and then just a fastball in the inner half of the plate. No way Howard can get to it.
Pick a stat, pick a player. Build your baseball hot streak. Correctly pick 10 straight and win a Fox Sports baseball cap. You could join hundreds of others who are already wearing theirs. Get your streak started today and win yourself a hat or some cash at foxsports.com/fantasy. Raul Ibanez with 2 out looks at a breaking ball away, 1-0. Ibanez bounced out to Infante his first time up, and Tommy Hanson about ready to throw his 50th pitch of the game. 1-1 to Ibanez.
Well, you talk about the number of pitches that Tommy Hanson has thrown. Let's also not forget that he's been out there on the mound for a period of time. It hasn't been like he's throwing, pitches, but getting out of the inning. It's 10-minute inning, 10-minute inning. That'll drain you after a while.
2 down, and the throw to first base. Not much of a lead for Polanco. Phillies had 2 runners on in the first with a single by Polanco and a walk by Howard. And then Victorino and Schneider both singled in the second inning. Now 1 ball and 2 strikes to Ibanez, and a big play made by Alex Gonzalez. Might have saved the run, and there was a good pitch on the outside part of the plate.
Yeah, just a good hard fastball. And again, I'll say it over and over, Hanson can go right at these guys. I don't care how good of hitters they are. With his stuff, he's got electric stuff.
1-2 pitch upcoming. Polanco does not go, and the pitch is fouled out of play. Keep in mind, Charlie Manuel, and deserves a lot of credit, as you pointed out at the top. He is playing this game to win, but he is not playing his starters the entire game. And as he did last night when he started 6 of 8 regulars, he'll start taking them out about mid-game.
Right, and let's not forget, this is a club that's been to the World Series the last 2 years, so even the guys that aren't the quote-unquote everyday guys are still pretty darn good.
Strikes him out on a breaking pitch. Ibanez goes down. That's the 4th strikeout for Hanson. The Phillies get a hit and lead 1. A beautiful day in Atlanta. After 2.5 innings, no score, and you're looking at Eric Karros, who apparently has not been home for a while. Looking at his pursuit looks, but good looks nonetheless. And that is our new cable cam that we're testing out a little bit, and that's the camera that is showing us in the booth.
And we're hoping to bring you shots, not necessarily of us calling the game, but maybe get guys, different shots on the field, and we'll just see. It's in the early stages of its experimental mode.
It's meant to be out there, in other words, not facing in here. Here's Rick Ankiel up for the first time. Number 8 hitter in the Braves lineup facing Vance Worley. And the fastball in for a strike to Rick Ankiel. If you remember him with the St. Louis Cardinals. And he was acquired in a 5-player trade from the Kansas City Royals at the end of July. He had a hamstring problem that limited him this year. No balls and 2 strikes to Ankiel. With the Cardinals last year, 31 years old. The 0-2 pitch. Big hop to Ryan Howard. Makes the play unassisted. And there's one gone in the third. And that'll bring up the pitcher, Tommy Hanson.
I'll tell you, I was going to say, excuse me, the guy, Worley really looks good to me, right? And not necessarily just because he's going through this lineup, but he looks very deceptive. Throws across his body, hides the ball well. I mean, I could see where it could be a real difficult at-bat up at the plate.
First start came on the 6th of September against the Florida Marlins. He allowed 2 runs in the first 2 innings, and then he settled down. Charlie Manuel had a lot of praise for him. He says, this youngster showed me some resilience out there. Ended up working 5 innings, giving up 2 runs. 1-0 pitch and a call strike to Hanson, who is hitting .098.
Well, what will be interesting is as this Brave lineup turns over the second time, having an opportunity to face Warren.
And a strike, 1 ball and 2 strikes to Hanson. Infante, the leadoff hitter on deck for the Braves. Braves losing last night, no score today, and the Padres have moved in front now 4-0 over the Giants in the top of the 4th inning of their game. And it's an interesting scenario if the Braves were to lose the last 2 games of this series and the Padres were to beat the Giants to finish out the regular season.
Nothing happens for the Braves. It's
That's
all
right.
over.
They're out of it.
You got the Giants and Padres as a division winner and a wild card representative.
So this is where you got to say it's on our plate. You know, the magic number is 2. You win 2 games, you win today, and you win tomorrow. You don't have to worry about anyone else.
Well, that's why last night was so huge, both in San Francisco with the Padres winning, the Phillies coming in here and setting the tone that, hey, we're not going to be a pushover this weekend. And now you start feeling a little pressure if you're the Braves, you're the Giants. The Padres and Phillies basically, Padres insurmountable weekend ahead of them. Phillies already in.
3-2 pitch and a good cut and a fly ball to right field. Dominic Brown near the line makes the catch in fair territory for out number 2. So let's zero in on the scenarios. Now, if the Padres, Giants, and Braves are tied, the Padres and Giants will play in
Petco in San Diego.
San Diego Monday for the West title, and the loser plays the Braves in Atlanta for the wild card on Tuesday. And then, as we mentioned, if the Braves were to lose these last 2 games and the Padres, who are winning today, win the last 2, the Giants are the wild card. The Padres win the West. They've been in first most of the year, and the Braves are out.
Come on, give me one more scenario.
Okay. Braves lose the last 2, Padres split. Atlanta hosts a 1-game playoff in San Diego. We're going to give a test on that in about 5 minutes, and we're not going to give you any help. There you see the 4-0 score for San Diego, and the count 1-0 to Infante, who bounced out to Polanco his first time up. And it's fouled out of play. Barry Zito already out of the game for the Giants, and the shortest outing of the year for Barry Zito, 3+ innings. Braves are batting in the bottom of the 3rd inning, still looking for their first hit of the game. No score. Phillies have all 4 hits thus far. Infante rolls it to second base, and Utley is there, and a 1-2-3 inning for Vance Worley looks pretty strong. And we have completed 3 here at Turner Field. No score between the Phillies and the Braves. sound for your flat screen with DirecTV. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Pepsi Max, 0 calories, maximum Pepsi taste. Tommy Hanson facing Victorino, Dominic Brown, and Brian Schneider here in the top of the 4th inning. No score. And ball 1 to Victorino, who singled his first time up. Several important games going on in the big leagues on this penultimate day of the regular season. The Yankees lead the Red Sox in the top of the third inning 3-2. They were rained out yesterday. And now the Red Sox have tied it up 3-3. One and two now to the Phillies center fielder. Again on the breaking ball, and that's the 3rd consecutive strikeout for Tommy Hanson, and there is one away. 5th strikeout for Hanson. Want to remind you to visit your local Lowe's for details on how to enter to win a Scott's VIP World Series experience.
We see Hanson starting to throw that breaking ball over for strikes. Outside of striking out Ryan Howard on a fastball in, the breaking ball has been the swing and miss pitch for Hanson today.
Here's Dominic Brown, who reached on a fielder's choice, hit the ball very hard, and a terrific play by Gonzalez to get Victorino on the force play, claiming there might be interference on Shane on his attempt to throw to first, and the umpires said no, and the pitch down low 2-0 to Brown. Rangy outfielder at 6'5" as Schneider waits on deck. Ball strike. Tributes to Bobby Cox from even those sitting in the last row of the bleachers. Out of play, and the count evens at 2-2.
See, they've painted the field. Out in center field, they've mowed a number 6. There's the man right there.
There's the 6, right? Well done. 2-2. The other day he came out and he said that's terrific. He couldn't tell from the dugout that they had worked on the outfield grass like that in center field.
Shoot, if he saw it from center field, he would have thought it was a 9. Said, who's this 9 guy?
I wore 6. 2 balls, 2 strikes with 1 away. And there's looking at it from behind. That's down low. And Hanson runs full to Dominic Brown with Schneider on deck. Bobby Cox, who a little embarrassed, wanted the baseball game to be the top attention getter. He couldn't get away from that. Fly ball to center field. Glasses down for Rick Ankiel, and he makes the catch for the second out here in the 4th inning. And here are some of the gifts bestowed on Bobby Cox. A beautiful painting. Henry Aaron on the right.
This painting is by Opie Otter. Cards from every player on the team.
And a bench from the players, and autographed by the players, and an automobile. He had enough pickup trucks, they said. And he really appreciated that. You could see Bobby Cox showed great enthusiasm there. 2 down to Brian Schneider, and he takes ball 1. Schneider single to right field his first time up.
I'll tell you, though, when we saw the gifts, there'd be no greater gift, though, that Bobby Cox would like to receive than a victory today to assure them at least a wild card spot.
Line drive to right field, and coming in and handling on a hop is Hayward, and Schneider is on base with his second hit of the game. So Brian Schneider now 2 for 2.
Well, he hit the ball hard. Jason Hayward coming in, doing a nice job of keeping the ball in front of him. Okay to come in and try to make the great catch because the pitcher on deck next, and there are 2 outs.
But the pitcher coming up now, Daniel Worley, who tried to bunt with 2 runners on and 1 out in the second inning. And finally struck out trying to bunt on strike 3. 2 down, and Schneider is on at first base. That's the 5th hit of the game for the Phillies. 1-0 the count to Worley. Phillies have had at least a hit in every inning thus far.
Well, if I'm Worley at the plate right now, I'm up there and I'm taking. I'm just trying to get down to first. I'm not going to worry about trying to hit the ball.
And Vance Worley looking at ball 2, 2-0.
Yeah, you just got to take some pitches right now. Take some pitches, hope you get down to first, and let Jimmy Rollins do the heavy lifting.
Swings at 2-0. He knew he'd get a good pitch there, huh, Eric?
You can do that in the minor leagues against some of those guys, but I'm not so sure that works well when you're stepping out with your front foot. You're not pivoting with the back foot. That's just not going to fly. Not at this level.
Rollins would be next. Schneider is on at first base. With 2 down, 2 balls and a strike to Vance Worley, the Phillies pitcher. And a call strike on a slider evens the count 2-2. Now the crowd begins its rhythmic applause. Looking for Hansen to strike out Worley and get out of this inning. And he does with a fastball. 6 strikeouts in the first 4 innings for Tommy Hansen. No score between the Phillies and the Braves. Sensational managerial career, 14 consecutive division titles for Bobby Cox leading the Braves. No score as Atlanta bats in the bottom of the 4th inning, and it'll be rookie Jason Hayward facing Vance Worley. The only base runners off of Worley was Hayward reaching on an error by Polanco in the 1st inning and a leadoff walk by Conrad, who was erased on a strikeout, throw-out double play at second on an attempted steal. So Hayward officially 0 for 1, and he looks at strike 1. Hayward, 21 years old, and has hit .304 after the All-Star game, and a strong candidate for Rookie of the Year honors. There's a fastball, 1-1.
You see a nice list of guys having some very nice rookie seasons. For me, though, Buster Posey, just because he plays, I believe, the most demanding position, catching position.
That is broken and goes flying, and the ball is out of play to the left. Ken Rosenthal, you want to vote here?
I will vote for Posey as well, but it's really difficult. Hayward has been with the Braves all season. Posey did not join the Giants' stick until May 29th. But here's the thing. Posey has almost as many home runs and RBIs as Hayward. He has the higher OPS. But Jason Hayward, let's not forget, is having a fantastic season. On-base percentage of nearly 400 at age 20.
First at bat against the Phillies on April 20th tied the game with a home run.
Yeah, no, I agree with a lot of those things. That, Jason Hayward gets on base. I know that's nice, but he doesn't steal a lot of bases. Only 10 stolen bases this year. When he starts to be more of a threat on the bases, hits for a bit more power, which I think he will. But Buster Posey. I mean, I don't even think there's really a question. Buster Posey.
Hayward's retired. Ryan Howard unassisted. One away, and Brian McCann coming to the plate. McCann struck out his first time up, as Vance Worley has struck out 2 thus far. Braves coming in the game 6th in hitting in the league, and 5th in runs per game, which is a little deceptive.
Well, it is deceptive, but also remember that they lead the National League in walks. They're a very patient club. That's how they get on base. They're not going to bang the ball over the park. They're going to have to string together a number of base hits. They don't run a lot. I mean, as you mentioned, it is deceptive, the fact that they are that high up as far as runs.
They've got some kids, some unknowns. It's been a patchwork team, and this is nothing like the Braves we've known, through the dominant 90s. As a contender for postseason, McCann hits it in the air to center field, makes the catch as Victorino for out number 2. And time now for a DirecTV game break. Padres leading 3-0 over the Giants, and Miguel Tejada with 2 on and 1 out in the top of the 4th inning off of Chris Ray knocks in. Tim Stauffer, the Padres pitcher, scored the 4th run, and he's been effective on the mound as well. Has given up 1 hit in 4 innings. So the Padres are up in the top of the 5th now, 4-0, as Barry Zito did not last that long for the Giants today. Derek Lee takes ball 1 inside.
I'll tell you, now the Giants, that game last night, as I mentioned, not winning that game, and now behind here, going to have to face Matt Latos, who I know has struggled as of late for the Padres, but has had a wonderful year. I tell you, it's amazing how things change within a 24-hour period.
And they talk about momentum at the end of the year, and we've seen things go the opposite way for teams, haven't we?
Yes, we have. And it's just like you mentioned, the Giants, they looked like they were going to roll right through. San Diego just getting beat up by the Cubs at home.
Well, we've seen the last 2 years in the American League Central going to 163rd game of the year. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Derek Lee. It's amazing when you play that many games that things are not settled in many cases until that last day or beyond. Lee, who flied to center, slices one to right field. Dominic Brown coming over, and it gets past him. On his way to second is Derek Lee, retrieving his Victorino in center field, but Lee is on at second with 2 out for the Braves here in the 4th inning, and the first extra base hit of the game. Tufts on field.
You see Dominic Brown going after the ball. He's left-handed, the ball coming back to him. Thought he could extend to get it. Probably not the right play in that situation because there are 2 outs. That's a play that you want to keep the ball in front of you. Now Derek Lee scores on a single.
So Derek Lee, who came over from the Cubs in mid-August, on at second with 2 down, and Brooks Conrad, who drew a walk his first time up. Chance to put the Braves in front here. Strike 1 to Conrad, switch hitter. Brooks Conrad. Only 36 games in a big league career coming into the season. First time the Braves have had a runner in scoring position. And the pitch inside, 1-1 to the Atlanta third baseman. Bobby Cox's Braves tying a franchise record, best home mark in the big leagues. They've won 56 and have dropped only 23. Trying to take advantage of that against the Phillies today. Fastball a bit high, 2-1. Last time the Braves reached the postseason was 2005. Used to be an annual thing.
They almost, you take it for granted. You know, I think there were years where the Braves wouldn't sell out a playoff game.
Ball strike, 2-2.
I mean, that just seemed like a regular part of their schedule. Now you play your 162 games, and then you've got the division, you've got the championship, and you've got the World Series. That's just what it is.
Just plan for it. Lead at second by Derek Lee, who doubled with 2 down here in the fourth. 2-2 to Conrad. Broken bat, slow roller to second base. Utley flips with his glove and makes the play to retire the side. Nifty play by Chase Utley. And there it is again as the Braves leave Lee at second base. We've completed 4, 0-0. For the Phillies, offers of the first pitch and hits one up the gap in left center field. Chasing it down is Rick Ankiel, and Rollins going into second with a stand-up double. That is the 6th hit of the game for the Phillies, their first extra base hit.
This pitch out over the plate on the outer half, Jimmy Rollins goes with it, drives it to left center. You know, Philly fans have to be excited because he hasn't been around because he's been hurt. The other night, the grand slam. Here, drives the ball the other way. You look at his head right on the ball, gets extension. You see that back elbow tucked in against the body. That allows you to drive the ball. That's when you're at your strongest point, when you have that back elbow tucked up against your body.
Here is Polanco, who has 2 hits after getting a cortisone shot this week. And, of course, Jimmy Rollins, Ken Rosenthal, just trying to get his timing set for the postseason.
Right, Dick, and I talked to him before the game, and the problem he has is that all these muscle issues really have never healed. So he told me that he has to play at a controlled pace. Now, Jimmy said he always plays at a controlled pace, but usually that pace is fast. This is more like medium. And Eric, it's tough for him because he says it's not really him.
Well, you know, it's a great point. It's very difficult for any athlete to tone down his game or to change it. Especially mentally, you're saying, I've got to go, I've got to break, I've got to do this, that. You know, right now, as you mentioned, he's not the base stealer. He doesn't have the range, but still, he's one of the best out there.
Phillies with Rollins at second, no score, runner in scoring position, and a ground ball hit to Infante. The runner, Rollins, will go to third, and Polanco is retired for the first out. Runner at third for the first time today with 1 out. Want to remind you, tomorrow, week 4 of the NFL on Fox is headlined by Donovan McNabb's return to Philadelphia. It was a love-hate relationship throughout his 11 seasons in Philly. Now McNabb wears the uniform of the rival Redskins now. McNabb and the Redskins take on the Eagles, and that's Michael Vick, by the way, part of a big doubleheader tomorrow on Fox. Check your local listings for the games and times in your area. And here's Chase Utley. Chase Utley 0 for 2. Welcome the viewers from San Diego and the Giants. Chase Utley has just grounded out to Infante, who is playing in, and Jimmy Rollins, who led off with a double, is held at third, and there are 2 down. Dick Stockton along with Eric Karros and Ken Rosenthal. No score here in the top of the 5th inning of this critical game.
Well, not really a pitch with the infield in that Chase Utley would normally go after. I mean, this pitch is a ball. It's low. You know, if anything, you're going to hit that on the ground. I think he was just trying to squirt it through, but that's not a typical Chase Utley at bat right there.
So the Phillies with a runner at third. Neither team had gotten a runner that far until now. And now Ryan Howard, who was walked, took a called third strike, the batter. Atlanta Brave fans and former players honoring Bobby Cox before the game, who was retiring after a sensational managerial career, 4th all-time in wins and a whole long laundry list of achievements. Receiving many gifts and finally receiving the plaudits of the fans here after getting it around the league. Swing and a miss. So far, Tommy Hanson, who has been working effectively for the Braves, has fooled Ryan Howard at the plate. 1-1 the count.
But you say he's worked effectively, and he's been able to dodge bullets. I mean, every inning there's base runners, first and second inning, first and second. Here we've got a guy on third. He's really walked the tightrope so far today.
But he has gotten the key outs when he's needed them. Falls behind Howard 2-1. Phillies have at least a hit in every inning, 6 in the game, and Rollins, who led off with a double, on at third with 2 out. Good play at the plate by McCann, stopping that low pitch, and they're going to say that Ryan Howard went around for strike 2 here.
And this is a situation where I think Ryan Howard had made up his mind prior to the pitch that he was going to swing at it. And this ball bounces a good 5 feet in front of home plate. And in a 2-1 count with a guy on third, that's not your normal approach.
Brave win today and tomorrow would wrap up a wild card berth. Lost last night to the Phillies. Facing the team to beat here. And the 2-2 pitch to Ryan Howard. Checks the swing, and the count is full. Rollins 90 feet away. Charlie Manuel's Phillies, who clinched the division championship Monday in Washington, their 4th in a row.
I got to bounce one again here in the dirt. Brian McCann doing a great job of keeping the ball in front. I bounce a curveball.
Here is the 3-2 pitch. Low ball 4, and Howard draws a walk. That'll put runners on first and third with 2 out, and Raul Ibanez coming to the plate. That's the second walk issued by Hansen.
Well, he tried. He went with the off speed, the breaking ball. Not sure if it went in the dirt or McCann was able to catch it, but you don't want to give in. Start anew with Raul Ibanez.
38-year-old outfielder, now 3 for 12 in his career against Tommy Hansen. Bounced to the right side and struck out. And a call strike.
See Tommy Hansen right there. 6 strikeouts. And you see, I'm not so sure I'd do this if I were Atlanta. I mean, you're holding on Ryan Howard with a left-handed hitter at the plate. Opens up the hole on the right side.
Fastball, and Ibanez couldn't catch up with it. And the count, no balls and 2 strikes.
See them working the outer half of the plate. Really, the only Philly hitter that has decided to go the other way and drive it has been Jimmy Rollins. That's what Raul Ibanez has to do right now as Hansen continues to work away.
Phillies have already left 6 men on base. They have runners at the corners with 2 out, 0-2 to Ibanez. Foul ball. So he stays alive. Big crowd on hand, 51,139 last night standing room only. We've got the same story today. Bobby Cox Day, but the Braves are looking to get the win. Scoreless here, and again with the count 0-2 and 2 out. Runners at first and third. Hansen against Ibanez. And again, the breaking ball and a good stop by McCann.
That's a great job by McCann. I mean, this isn't the first one that he's had to block today. Keeping the ball in front of him, consistently calling for that pitch. Hansen, again, having the confidence in McCann to throw it.
1-2.
See, he's looking for something there again, away.
Just missed outside, and not by much.
Well, tried to go with that slider on the outer part of the plate. Ibanez gives up on it, and that pitch it's off the plate. You see McCann trying to bring it back. It's a good pitcher's pitch.
Rollins on at third, Howard at first, 2 down, scoreless game here in the top of the 5th.
Going with the curveball here. Bounce that sucker maybe.
And he does, and once again McCann earning his keep behind the plate so far in this game. And after getting ahead of Ibanez 0-2, the count runs full.
McCann is doing an unbelievable job back there. Now remember, with Ryan Howard, a 3-2 pitch, he called for the breaking ball, called for it low. If you're Raul Ibanez, you say, you know what? He did it to Ryan Howard. I'm guessing he's going to do it here.
Lee playing behind Howard, who will take off on the pitch. Rollins with the lead at third.
Going for that slider away, that backdoor pitch.
Here's the payoff pitch, and a one-hopper. Gonzalez to first, and Hansen gets out of it, getting Ibanez with the go-ahead run at third. And we go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Still no score. 8 left on base by the Phillies so far. The pitcher as he warms up, looking right over his shoulder. Eric?
Yeah, look at that. That's some sort of shot right there. Really get a good feel for that ball coming in. I can't wait to see this thing. We're able to use it more and more. Wow.
Nate McLouth leading off, bottom of the 5th inning, no score. And the first pitch is a fastball for a strike. McLouth took a called 3rd strike his first time up. Braves getting their first hit of the game with 2 out last inning on a Derek Lee double that went past Dominic Brown in right field. 1 ball, 1 strike to McLouth. He'll be followed by Alex Gonzalez and Rick Ankiel. Braves have 1 hit and only 3 base runners. Missed inside. 92 miles an hour. 2 balls and 1 strike to Nate McLouth. Braves trying to nail down a wild card. And going down the stretch of this regular season to try to do it. Meanwhile, Worley falls behind McLouth 3-0. Worley has walked 1, given up a hit, and 1 base runner safe on a Phillies error. Ball 4, and McLouth is on. That is the 2nd walk of the game against Vance Worley. And Fox Saturday Baseball is presented by Gillette Odor Shield Antiperspirant. Help eliminate odor. Don't just cover it up. Full house here in Atlanta as fans trying to see the Braves wrap it up. Left-hander Johnny Venters, part of an outstanding Braves bullpen. And there's the bunt by Gonzalez, perfectly executed, and on the sacrifice, McLouth goes to second. 1-3 on the sacrifice, and the Braves have a runner in scoring position.
Good job getting the man in scoring position. You have Ankiel, the number 8 hitter, up. Obviously, there'll be a pinch hitter for Hansen. You see Hinsky on deck.
Ankiel bounced out to Ryan Howard unassisted his first time up and takes inside for ball 1. Braves finally had a runner in scoring position last inning with a 2-out double. There's Eric Hinsky. And Hinsky knows what it's like to be in postseason with different teams as of late, doesn't he?
Well, he's got the automatic ticket to the World Series.
Swing and a miss by Ankiel. And it's 1-1.
Good breaking ball down and out of the zone.
On at second base is Nate McLouth, who led off with a walk. And it's 2-1.
Good discipline there by Ankiel. The same pitch that he just offered at, lays off of it.
No score here in the 5th inning. Last night a slugfest, 11-5 with the Phillies leading. Different story today. The 2-1 pitch, good fastball that Ankiel couldn't catch up with, and it evens it at 2-2.
Well, after throwing 2 breaking balls down around the ankles, he elevates the fastball. Ankiel unable to catch up to it.
What does Worley come back with? Fouled back.
Well, and as a hitter, you're looking for a pitch in a zone, and when the pitcher changes your eyesight, your eye level, he throws a few down low, and then he's going up high, and he's moving the ball around. Makes it much more difficult to hit.
And he works fast. 2 balls and 2 strikes with 1 away and a foul ball. We want to remind you that catch all the action of the 2010 Major League Baseball postseason on Fox and TBS. The excitement will begin October 6th with the Division Series on TBS. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Rick Ankiel trying to get the Braves in front here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Fastball, and he's out of there. And that is the 3rd strikeout of the game for Worley. 2 down. And now Eric Hinsky coming up.
I'll tell you, Worley's been everything as Charlie Manuel told me. A real bulldog to go after the hitters, has good stuff.
So here's Eric Hinsky hitting .311 as a pinch hitter with 3 home runs. He's dangerous. And as you talked about the ticket to the postseason, played in the last 3 World Series with 3 different teams. Red Sox, Rays, and then the Yankees last year. 2 down, and the pitch taken, ball 1. Tuesday, with the Braves behind, a big home run.
Yeah, 2 strikes at that. You know, but those are the types of contributions that the Braves have been getting all year long. It's allowed them to be at this point, whether it's Hinsky, the pinch hit, Troy Glaus having a great second month of the season.
2 balls and no strikes. That home run, a big one for the Braves, Ken Rosenthal.
Told me that it was the biggest one of his career. And keep in mind, he hit one in the 2008 World Series playing for the Rays. The Yankees clinched a postseason berth that night, and his former hitting coach with the Yankees, Kevin Long, actually called him from the coach's room after the celebration started to die down. He also got a text from his former teammate with Tampa Bay, Evan Longoria.
A lot of social messaging going on with Eric Hinsky. Has the count in his favor, 2 balls and no strikes with 2 out. Nate McLouth on at second base in a 0-0 game, and there's a pitch for a strike. 2-1 now.
They can't offer at that pitch. You've got the count in your favor, 2-0. That's a pitcher's pitch. Maybe even off the plate a bit. When you've got it in your favor, you're looking for something that you can drive.
And Hinsky swings and misses. 2-2. Worley doing a terrific job. Pitched collegiately at Long Beach State and actually was drafted twice by the Phillies. First in 2005, and then he went to Long Beach State and then came back again.
You got to wonder if this guy's name is Roy Worley. Roy Oswald or Holiday, the way he's throwing right now.
Love to join that group. Just getting a piece of it is Hinsky to stay alive. And if Hinsky manages to get on, top of the order, Omar Infante will come up for the Braves. Phillies, of course, all set with Halladay, Oswalt, and Hamels, who will start tomorrow and pitch a couple of innings, that's all. Joe Blandon will be in the bullpen when the division series starts. He gets jammed and pops it up. Chase Utley makes the catch, and that'll do it. So a leadoff walk goes by the boards, 1 left. We move to the 6th. 0-0. Pro Game phone. Stop losing, start gaining. And by Chevrolet, every model is backed by a 100,000-mile, 5-year powertrain limited warranty. And the new pitcher for the Braves, courtesy of Cable Cam, and the warm-up is Johnny Venters, making his 78th appearance of the year. And Johnny Venters, first pitch, and it's going to be fair ball, and rounding second is Victorino, and we'll stop there as Victorino goes the opposite way, and a leadoff double on the first pitch.
Well, he just absolutely yanks this ball right inside the third baseline. And normally that's not going to happen unless Venters throws that slider down and in. Victorino not wasting any time. This is the second inning now where the Phillies have had the leadoff runner on second base, unable to score him last inning. See what happens.
Dominic Brown. Johnny Venters giving up a double. Victorino with his second hit, a single and a double, pulled that one down the left field line. And Ben Francisco is coming up to bat for Brown. And Ben Francisco, one thing he can do is hit.
Well, he can. He had 2 home runs the other night. Outfielder.
Victorino at second. Chops this one to shortstop. Gonzalez played to first, and Victorino off on the pitch goes to third. So now with 1 out, the Phillies have a runner at third base. And Brian Schneider coming up. And the play. And we want to welcome our audience to Atlanta. The Phillies last inning had a runner at third, could not get him in a scoreless game. And here is Brian Schneider, who has 2 singles so far. And with 1 out, Shane Victorino, who pulled a double down the left field line and advanced to third with a chance to put the Phillies in front. Infield is in for the Braves, and the first pitch a strike.
Well, and this is a situation where, you know, again, if this was a game that the Phillies had to win, Schneider doesn't hit here. You've got somebody on deck. You've got somebody warming up. You know, so again, you know, while the Phillies are playing to win, I'm not so sure that I have Schneider hitting against Venters here. And see Sweeney coming out on deck. I mean, Venters is not fun to hit against as a right-handed hitter. As a left-handed hitter, it's just really not fair.
So Venters ahead of Schneider, no balls and 2 strikes, with Victorino at third in a scoreless game, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes to Schneider. And there in the on-deck circle is Mike Sweeney, who will bat for Worley. Swing and a miss. Strike 3, and Schneider goes down, and Venters handled him easily for out number 2.
Well, as he does most left-handed hitters, as I said before, that this normally would not be a situation that Charlie Manuel, where he wouldn't pinch it. Lefty on lefty, you know, you've got Carlos Ruiz, who's having a career year for the Phillies on the bench. But again, Carlos is getting the day off, Schneider's catching, and that's the way it goes.
So Mike Sweeney coming up. So Victorino with the leadoff double, advanced on Francisco's ground out. Schneider struck out, the 7th strikeout of the game against Atlanta pitching. And here is Mike Sweeney, 37-year-old, 3 for 10 as a pinch hitter this year, batting for Vance Worley. First pitch down low, ball 1. So Mike Sweeney, 37 years old in his 16th year, leads the list of active big leaguers who has played the most who have never appeared in postseason. Venters missing outside, 2-0 on deck. Jimmy Rollins, the top of the order. Bastardo, a left-hander. who could very well be one of the pitchers that Charlie Manuel will use out of the bullpen, being a left-hander.
Bastardo and Romero, probably the two left-handers on the postseason roster.
And Venner's falling behind. Sweeney 3-0 now. Jimmy Rollins, who doubled his last time up, hoping to get a chance here. Phillies have left 8 men on base through the first 5 innings. Lead by Victorino. There's a strike, and it's 3-1. Look at how they're playing Sweeney.
Center fielder shifted a little bit to the right side of the field.
And there's a strike. Sweeney was on his way to first. Nicked the outside corner, and that runs the count full.
That's a great pitch right there. Again, 3-1 count. You can't offer it that. Benner showing that he'll still go with the hard slider. Not going to challenge Sweeney with the fastball. Don't expect him to do it right here, 3-2.
Victorino with the lead, and strike 3. So Johnny Venters, who leads all Major League rookie relievers with an ERA of 1.78, gets out of it. For the Phillies, after Vance Worley worked impressive 5 innings, giving up no runs on 1 hit. Here's Bastardo, appearing in his 25th game. And he'll be facing the top of the order as new right fielder Ben Francisco, who batted for Dominic Brown, goes in to play that position. No score into the 6th inning. Bastardo pitched last night, giving up 2 hits, but he struck out the side, and he'll be facing Omar Infante, Jason Hayward, and Brian McCann, the first 3 hitters in the Braves lineup. So the Braves with their magic number 2. A win today and a Padres loss would wrap up the wild card, but the Padres are winning 4-0 in the bottom of the 7th. In fact, Giants manager Bruce Bochy has been ejected for arguing balls and strikes. Braves know they can get it done by winning today and then tomorrow against these Phillies. And the first pitch to Infante, taken for ball 1. Infante has bounced out twice.
San Francisco struggling against the Padres. Only 1 hit through 6 innings. They hit in the bottom of the 7th.
1-0 pitch, and it's popped up to the right side. Chase Utley, 1 out. Padres looked like they were really going down, and then all of a sudden they have awakened.
Padres were cooked. I mean, they were absolutely done. The Cubs took 3 out of 4 from them earlier this week. The Padres were leading the wild card race on Monday. Before you know it, they looked like they were going up to San Francisco on life support. They were on life support. Big win last night, ahead today, and things are looking better for them.
Jason Hayward takes the first pitch for a ball. Hayward is 0 for 2. And there's a base hit, stroke to right field by Hayward. That's only the second hit of the game by the Braves. A 1-out single here in the 6th inning.
This pitch down, low, right in the middle. Hayward, you see, keeps his head right on it. Throws his hands.
And here's Brian McCann, has struck out and fly to center. His 21 home runs lead the Braves. So the Braves with 2 hits. Eric Lee doubled with 2 out in the 4th, and now Hayward with a 1-out single here in the 6th inning. He has 10 stolen bases in 16 attempts. Left-hander Bastardo's first pitch is down low, ball 1. Juan Uribe has gone deep for the Giants, and they have finally scored against the Padres in the bottom of the 7th, still batting, trailing 4-1.
Thing about it, it's late in the game. The Padres have one of the better bullpens. Heath Bell, the closer.
Lead by Hayward. McCann lays off the pitch outside, and it's 2-0. Derek Lee is on deck for Atlanta. There's Lee. All the Braves need to do is take care of their own business. A victory today and one tomorrow in the regular season finale against the Phillies. Cole Hamels and Tim Hudson, the scheduled starters, and Hamels won't be in there long. And the Braves go to the playoffs. Swinging bunt back to the mound. Bastardo's only play is to first. 4 out, number 2, as Hayward moves to second.
Well, but Bastardo does a nice job. The ball back to him, and I think for a minute he's thinking, should I go to second base? But he makes the smart play, just goes to first, gets the sure out, doesn't try to make the great play. Now with first base open, you don't have to go after Derek Lee. In fact, you've got to. Normally you walk him in this situation. Put 4 up, you walk him and go after the next hitter.
That would be Brooks Conrad. They're going to pitch to him, but probably not give him anything good to hit. There is Brooks Conrad waiting on deck. He's been a hero in many instances this year for the Braves. Bastardo's first pitch is a breaking ball, missing 1-0 to Lee.
See, this is one of those situations, again, you want Bastardo to learn the experience of going after a Derek Lee. But if this is a must-win game, there's no way you pitch to him with Conrad on deck.
There's a call strike. 1-1 to Lee. We're in the bottom of the 6th inning of a scoreless game. Jason Hayward on at second base with 2 down. '24-year-old Antonio Bastardo. 1-1 delivery. And it's fouled at the plate, 1-2. Well, if the Braves get into the wild card, the Phillies will play the Reds. Ken Rosenthal has more on what that matchup could be like.
That's right, Dick. And the Reds announced today, Dusty Baker did, that Edinson Volquez, not Bronson Arroyo, would start Game 1. And if their opponent is the Phillies, that's a better choice. Left-handed hitters, of which the Phillies have several, are hitting .285 off Arroyo this season.
Don't forget the NLCS will open up on Fox exclusively on Saturday, October 16th. Derek Lee trying to deliver here with the 1-ball, 2-strike count. And he strikes out to retire the side. 1 hit and 1 left. No score in a pitcher's duel here in Atlanta. And we will return to Atlanta after a word from your local Fox station. Hansen as he faces Jimmy Rollins leading off in the 7th inning. And the first pitch, ball 1 to Rollins. Last time up, he doubled the leadoff for the Phillies. They couldn't get him in. 94 miles per hour, and it's 2-0.
Well, you've seen Rollins just resting the bat on his shoulder both times, not even thinking about all of it.
2-1 now. And Venters falling behind Rollins 3-1 with Polanco on deck. Went around for strike 2.
You see this ball running away on the outer part of the plate. Jimmy Rollins hoping that something inside, kind of leaking a little bit with that one.
And he draws the walk to start things off. And our DirecTV game break. The Yankees and the Red Sox in the top of the 5th, 1 on and no out. Score tied at 3. Mark Teixeira doubles to left center field off the wall up of Tim Wakefield. Curtis Granderson comes around from first. Yankees take the 4-3 lead, and then Robinson Cano doubled in Teixeira. And it's 5-3 now. The magic number for the Yankees is 3. They will play a doubleheader. Another game tonight, and the Tampa Bay Rays will be playing later at Kansas City, where they've had some problems. And the pitch outside. And the pinch runner is Brian Bocock as he's running for Rollins here in the 7th inning. Polanco 2 for 3, singled his first 2 times up. Phillies have had the leadoff man on, Eric, in each of the last 3 innings.
Well, they've had a number of opportunities, and especially second base 2 different times with nobody out. Unable to get them in. 9 left on base for the Phillies.
They've had at least a hit in every inning coming into this inning, and it's fouled off to the left 1-1. So they've been knocking on the door, but Tommy Hanson managed to get out of danger. Chase Utley, the on-deck hitter for the Phillies, during their sensational 21-6 September, and mostly against division opponents, at one point won 11 in a row. Throw to first base. In fact, you go back to late July, the Phillies were 7 games behind the Braves. They were in 3rd place. The Mets, actually 6.5 behind, were in 2nd. And then now 6 games up on Atlanta today.
Yeah, you know, and from that time, you know, everybody talks.
Ground to the 3rd. Conrad throws the ball away off the glove of Infante, and going to 3rd base will be Bocock, the pinch runner. So the porous defense by the Atlanta Braves coming to fight them again today.
And I said everybody wants to talk about the big 3, but the big difference has been the defense. Since that date on July 22nd, when you mentioned the Phillies, they were behind. The least amount of errors in Major League Baseball, the Philadelphia Phillies at 25. The most, nobody has more than the Atlanta Braves since that date on July 22nd. 55 errors. Look, since the All-Star break, look at that, 61 errors since the All-Star break. But now they've just taken the lead over Kansas City and Pittsburgh as far as making errors, and that's what killed them last night. It's put them in a hole right here.
And here is Chase Utley. Runners at 1st and 3rd. The infield is in this scoreless game. So the Phillies threatening. Nobody out. Runners at 1st and 3rd. And the first pitch is a strike. Conrad made the error last night. McLeod also misjudging it. Sailing over his head.
Yeah, the McLeod one is tough. It's right over his head, but this was the problem. You know, Conrad fields it cleanly. He should have just gone to first base. He acknowledged it after the game. Goes to second, nobody covering there. There were 2 outs, and then problems.
Fouled off in the count, no balls, 2 strikes. Wilson Valdez has gone in to run for Polanco. So we have a pair of pinch runners on base for the Phillies here in the 7th inning. Bocock, who's on at 3rd base. There's Valdez, as Charlie Manuel starting to rest his regulars. Scoreless game, and Chase Utley, who's 0 for 3, looking to put the Phillies in front. And a ground ball, base hit through the drawn-in infield into right field. Bocock will score. Going to 3rd is Valdez, and holding at 1st is Utley, and the Phillies take a 1-0 lead. As Chase Utley knocks in his 65th run of the year. It's 1-0, and runners still at the corners with none out.
Well, Chase Utley up there battling. I mentioned earlier how tough it is as a left-handed hitter to face Venners. Utley didn't come through earlier with the man, but he was able to come through right here.
So once again, the error costs the Braves, and the Phillies, who were 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position before that base hit, now take a huge 1-0 lead in the 7th inning. And Ryan Howard, who has walked twice and struck out, takes the ball. Now things can get really tense here for the Braves, knowing that the Padres are winning their game against the Giants, and that magic number 2 coming down possibly to the last day of the regular season. Could make things awfully anxious for Atlanta. There's a call, strike 1-1 to Howard.
Again, if you're the Atlanta Braves, you're looking for the strikeout right here. Again, lefty on lefty. Benner's very difficult.
One and two now to Howard. Danny's Baez throwing in the Philadelphia bullpen. Ryan Howard with 108 runs batted in. When the Phillies score first, they have the highest winning percentage in baseball at 840. Getting a piece of it is Howard, and it's still 1 and 2.
Well, we've been mentioning all day that the Phillies have had opportunities. It was just a matter of time whether they were going to break through or the Braves weren't going to be able to continue to put out the fire. Right now, the Braves have opened things up again with the poor defensive play.
Johnny Venters facing Howard, and he strikes out for the second time in the game. And that will be the first out.
You hear the breaking ball just tailing away. Ryan Howard coming into the ball game with 154 strikeouts. Picked up his second one of the day.
And the third strikeout for Venters. Here is Ibanez. Hansen in his last inning of pitching got Ibanez on a sharp ground ball. Alex Gonzalez made a great play to save a run there. And the first pitch is a strike to Ibanez, who was 0 for 3 today. Phillies scoring here in the 7th inning, taking a 1-0 lead. They've out-hit the Braves 8-2. There goes the runner from first. Pitch taken for a ball. And Utley goes in with his 12th stolen base of the year. And the count 1-1 to Ibanez.
You see Utley really just going on first move. See Utley getting a good jump, not really much of an opportunity to make a throw. McCann has struggled throwing down to second base.
And Gonzalez a little late getting over there as well. The infield again moving in with runners at second and third, and a strike now 1 and 2 to Ibanez. Pinch runner Valdez on at third base. Utley at second. 1 out. Kyle Farnsworth now tossing in the Atlanta bullpen. Venters 1-2 pitch, and a soft liner to right field, taken on a hop by Hayward. Valdez will score. Going to third base is Utley, and the Phillies take a 2-0 lead. Ibanez with his 82nd run batted in of the year. And still with 1 out, runners at first and third. And Victorino coming to the plate.
Well, Ibanez doing a nice job. Gets a fastball up and in instead of that slider down and away. You see Hayward has the glove up, acting like he's going to catch that low liner. Chase Utley holds at second base. When he sees it finally fall, he gets to third.
Roger McDowell is out to the mound, and those of you who are welcoming us watching the Giants and the Padres, the Phillies have broken a scoreless tie here with 2 runs in the 7th inning. And a huge Atlanta error opening up the gates. Chase Utley with an RBI single.
There's Brooks Conrad right now, and nobody felt worse about last night's ball game than Brooks Conrad, and I could imagine what's going through his mind right now.
And here is Victorino, who has a single and a double. Phillies won last night 11-5. The magic number for the Braves to clinch a wild card berth is still 2. And there's a ground ball past Conrad into left field for a base hit. Utley will come around and score the 3rd run. And Victorino with an RBI. So Utley, Ibanez, and Victorino with RBI singles here, and a very quiet full house in Atlanta as the Phillies have struck for 3.
Well, Philadelphia, an opportunistic team taking advantage of the miscues, some base hits, some walks. Well, that's why they are a potent team, because even when they're not banging the ball out of the park, They're as good as anybody.
Well, this isn't the scenario that the fans had hoped to see on the day that they honored Bobby Cox, who is retiring after this year. Johnny Venters, who has pitched well for Cox, will leave the game. Phillies lead 3-0. And a new pitcher coming in. Farnsworth had been warming up for the Braves. And the first pitch is ball one. So Craig Kimbrell making his 21st appearance in relief, coming in with a 4-0 record and a 0.45 earned run average, giving up 1 earned run in 20 innings.
Yeah, he's really been lights out. Somebody that compliment Wagner at the end of the game. Problem is they haven't been able to get to the end of the game with any kind of lead.
Banez at second, Victorino on at first, 1 out, 3 runs in for the Phillies. Fastball that Francisco misses. And it's 1-1, 96 miles an hour.
Yeah, it just rears back and fires, has some life on it, some movement.
Kimbrell, the third pitcher of the day for Bobby Cox. And Francisco fouls it out of play. Francisco coming on with 6 homers, 26 runs batted in, batting .269, and he bounced out as a pinch hitter. So the Braves in a 3-0 hole here in the 7th inning. And the Padres continue to lead the Giants 4-1 in the bottom of the 8th in San Francisco. And Francisco strikes out for the second out here in the 7th inning.
Here, just blows a fastball right by him, up in the zone.
Big play of the inning after a leadoff walk to Rollins. Ground ball to Brooks Conrad, trying to get the force at second, way off the mark, throws it into center field. And that started the Phillies. Then Utley singled after a strikeout of Banez knocked in a run with a base hit, as did Victorino.
Yeah, when you're out there in the field and something happens like that, you just want to hide. You'd like to dig a hole and just crawl into it, because you're just thinking, there is no way I just did this. There is no way I just let everybody down.
And that on top of last night's throwing.
Well, that's
error.
what I'm saying. I mean, I feel for the guy right now. I mean, I've been there before, and it is not a good feeling.
Brian Schneider 2 for 3 with a couple of singles and fouls it out of play into the right field seats. And today, the largest crowd in the history of Turner Field. And for Fulton County Stadium as well. So the largest regular season crowd in Atlanta history, 54,296. Tops last night's attendance of 51,139. And it's the final weekend of the year as the Braves trying to get into the playoffs, and Bobby Cox pay tribute. 1 ball, 1 strike. Greg Dobbs is on deck for the Phillies. And if Schneider keeps it alive, we'll bat in the pitcher spot. 2-1 now to Schneider. There's Dobbs.
Well, 3 runs is not an insurmountable lead, but quite frankly, with this Atlanta Brave offense, they don't have the firepower. They don't have, a couple guys with 1 swing of the bat, can get you right back in the game. So 3 runs, that might be insurmountable.
Charlie Manuel coming here with everything wrapped up, including the best record in the league, and coming here and competing, to say the least. Down low, ball 4, and Schneider walks. So the bases are loaded, and Dobbs will come up and pinch hit for the pitcher, Bastardo. So Greg Dobbs is batting. Victorino, Francisco, who struck out. Schneider is its first.
So how ironic is this, though? That this series begins. Hamels and Holiday, Oswalt, they're not going to throw, and if they do, it may be an inning or 2 here. The Braves saying, hey, all we've got to do is win 1 game. It should be a cakewalk. Now they're on the brink of being down 2 games, a must-win tomorrow. The Padres in San Francisco. I mean, this is 2 days ago. Nobody would have predicted this. Nobody.
Coming in, the magic number was 2, so the Braves could take care of business on their own by winning these games. But if they lose to this game and tomorrow, and the Padres win both days, Atlanta is out of the playoffs. Ball gets away. And the throw to the plate, not in time. Ball getting away. No further advance. Runners now at second and third. And Ibanez comes across with the 4th run of the inning.
Well, McCann's been doing a great job of blocking balls, but I mean, how much can you ask of the guy? And actually, the fault right there is Kimbrel not getting to home plate. He's late getting there. You watch him come to the plate. Now look, you got nowhere to go. Get to the plate. You got to beat him. Takes his time getting there and stops way back. Never gets to home plate, never gives McCann an opportunity.
So Victorino is on at third and Schneider at second. And they're going to walk Dobbs and load the bases. Remember, Bocock went in to run for Rollins this inning. And Bocock will come up, and he will be the 10th man to come up here in the 7th inning. The bases are loaded as Dobbs, the pinch hitter, on at first. Danny's Baez, who had been up earlier, throwing and likely to come in the bottom of the 7th inning. So here is Bocock. Oh for 3 in 4 games. Fastball and a strike from Kimbrel. There is Kyle Farnsworth, who was warming up before with Kimbrel when Kimbrel got the call. Bocock brought up on September the 12th, his second stint this year, in the pitch low and outside, 1-1. Boy, the silence.
Silence is deafening.
Deafening here, yeah,
really
in Atlanta.
And silence is deafening.
You you can't quite say you can feel it slipping away because there is still tomorrow for the Braves to win and the Padres to lose and get it done. But they're really
if you're an Atlanta Brave right now, there is so much. I don't want to say if it's tension, but it's oh my gosh, I can't believe we're going to have to win on. Where the Phillies, they're just playing loose. They're going out there. Hey, look, we've got a postseason to look forward to. I mean, it's tough to play this game, and when you're tight, oh man, it's tough.
1-2 pitch to Bocock, and it's inside and down. So Ken Rosenthal having this thing extend to the last game of the regular season and maybe beyond obviously affects the Braves' pitching rotation for postseason.
Absolutely, Dick, and this chaotic finish could wreak havoc on that rotation. Tim Hudson's supposed to go tomorrow. They were hoping he wouldn't have to if they clinched today. Now it looks like he will. And then a playoff would be Derek Lowe on Monday. They don't want that either.
10 men come to the plate. The Phillies score 4 runs. And what was a tight pitcher's duel, now the Phillies going into the bottom of the 7th inning have a 4-run cushion against the Braves. The next generation of Duds. By Lowe's, Let's Build Something Together. And by One A Day Men's, the official multivitamin of MLB, specially formulated for men. And here is today's Verizon playoff summary. Barry Zito with his shortest outing of the season. The Giants trailing 4-1 in the top of the 9th inning. The Yankees, whose magic number is 3, to eliminate the Rays, leading the Red Sox 5-3 in the top of the 7th. The Phillies breaking a scoreless tie with 4 runs in the top of the 7th inning and opening up the floodgates, a critical era. And it all started with Bobby Cox Day, honored everywhere, finally by Atlanta, but then in the top of the 7th inning, the sun disappeared.
Yeah, Brooks Conrad, an errant throw really opened up the inning. Chase Utley taking advantage. Raul Ibanez. Before you know it, Shane Victorino. Phillies are up 4-0.
And the Phillies will have a new pitcher. Danny Baez will come on in the 7th inning. Vance Worley, the rookie, started, worked 5 innings. And there is Bocock, who is now playing shortstop. And Wilson Valdez replaces Polanco at third base. So last night the Padres were victorious. The Braves lost. And it's developing into the same scenario today.
Well, I'll tell you what, it looks like tomorrow is going to be a day in front of the television watching some baseball. And I know I'll be watching you in the NFL on Fox, but I'm going to have to catch a little baseball too.
I don't blame you. Brooks Conrad will be leading off, and his miscues the last 2 games after being really a fan's favorite with what he's done as a pinch hitter this year. There's Baez, by the way, making his 50th appearance. Appeared in 11 games with the Braves after coming over from the Dodgers in 2006. By the way, all 4 runs were charged to Benders, but 2 were earned. And Conrad will start it off. McLeod and Gonzalez to follow as the Braves try to get back into this game.
Well, I'll tell you, just as a former player, and I know I'm not supposed to be rooting for anybody or anything, but I'd like to see this kid just get a hit. I mean, after what he's gone through, and like I said, I've been there before, and just what he's feeling inside right now is not good.
Conrad has walked and grounded out. This is the fastball, 1-1. So what is it like? You said you want to just dig a hole and get in the ground.
You want to just hide because, you know, everybody's seen it. You know that you've put your club in a tough position. You know, it goes from an instance of, I can't believe I just did that.
Pops it up now to the left side.
To I wish I didn't do it. To
Bocock.
Wow.
1 away. I'll tell you, the one guy that's going to give him encouragement will be Bobby Cox, though.
You know, you can do all the encouragement you want. The reality is it's happened, and you're going to have to live with it.
Here's Nate McLeod. Struck out and walked. 1 out in the bottom of the 9th. The Padres leading the Giants 4-1. Call strike to McLeod. And Heath Bell has come on to attempt his 47th save. What a year he's had. 46 for 49 in save opportunities.
Yeah, he's been great. Had a tough one the other day, a loss against the Chicago Cubs. But he's basically been lights out for that Padre ball.
There's a call strike to McLeod. 1-2. They started with Tommy Hanson, 10-11. Big game for him to pitch against the rookie Vance Worley, who had pitched just 8 innings in the big leagues. Coming into this one, and Worley did not give up a run in 5 innings, giving up 1 hit. And I think that really kept the Braves at bay until the Phillies started to get some runs.
Well, it kept the Braves at bay, but what it did is Worley started to gain confidence. The other thing, too, remember, the Phillies, they were knocking on the door every inning. You know, it wasn't as if they just finally had one inning. They've left, 12 guys on base today. You know, but they were first and second, guy on third. Just couldn't get that opportune break.
They've had at least a hit in every inning, and men left on base, and a fastball blown by McLeod by Baez. And they're 2 down here in the 7th inning. That'll bring up Alex Gonzalez. Fouled out. And bounced back to the pitcher. Braves with bullpen activity. Left-hander Mike Dunn. Another rookie, but the Braves bullpen really has been terrific this year. But they have struggled the last couple of games. Of course, the defense not helping them at all.
Well, you know, we go back to the defense, and I think that's what, you know, has separated both of these ball clubs this second half. You know, we showed you the numbers. The Phillies have been absolutely dominant, and the Braves, you know, you cannot continue to give the other team 4 or 5 outs. It kills your pitching staff, puts your ball club in a hole offensively, especially when you don't have the power to get back into a game.
There's Dunn. 2-1, especially in postseason. That can really hurt you when the scores generally are lower and it's a pitcher's series.
Well, and the margin for error is a lot less. You don't have a whole season to recoup whatever you messed up in a game or two. You make an error here and their series could be over.
Fly ball deep to center field. Victorino pedaling back and makes the catch and a 1-2-3 inning for Denis Baez, the 33-year-old Cuban right-hander. 4-0, the Phillies lead, and they come up in the 8th. Is presented by Gillette. We go to the 8th inning as the San Diego Padres out west lead the Giants 4-1 in the bottom of the 9th inning. Mike Dunn making his 25th appearance of the year. Right now, let's send it to Josh Lewin and Mark Grace in San Francisco. Right. How about that story out in San Francisco as the Padres beat the Giants 4-2 and now are one game behind the Giants in the National League West going to the last day. And if the Phillies go on and beat the Braves, the wild card will be all tied between the Braves and San Diego. They're in two races right now as Ryan Howard takes a strike. It's 0-1 with one out. Runner at first base is Utley here in the eighth.
Well, and how about getting back? The game tomorrow between the Giants and the Padres decides the National League West. If the Padres beat the Giants, although they will be tied with the overall record, San Diego wins the division based on head-to-head record during the season.
And the Braves could be the odd team out if they lose tomorrow and San Diego wins. Because then the Giants would be the wild card team and the Padres would be the National League West champions. Well, what a comeback on the road for the Padres in the National League. 0-2, the count to Ryan Howard, down low, and it's 1-2. And silence here in Atlanta. So you had the crowd in San Francisco getting revved up for what they hope would be a big comeback. Ended with a double play, and here Madsen starts to throw for the Phillies in their bullpen. Silence on the day that Bobby Cox was honored. So much cheering early on. Ryan Howard strikes out for out number 2.
Well, just a high fastball. Gets it by the big man. You know, he's the type of guy, though, that when he does get hot, he carries a club. You know, there's guys that get hot, excellent players, superstar players, but he can carry a club. That's what Charlie Manuel is hoping happens within the next week.
Here is Ibanez with an RBI single last inning, 1 for 4 on the day, now has driven 82 runs. There goes the runner. And the throw, and nearly into center field, but off the glove of Gonzalez, and going to third is Utley. So a stolen base for Chase Utley. His second of the game, and goes to third on an error.
Well, this is a nice throw, but there's nobody home. Nobody down at second base. And the way the Braves are playing right now, I mean, it doesn't seem like there's any urgency. They're just going through the motions. They're feeling sorry for themselves. And that's the way it's always going to appear when you're not playing well. But they're a much better ball club than this.
So a stolen base for Utley, his second of the game now, 13 on the year, and a throwing error charged to Brian McCann. So that's the second error in as many innings charged to the Braves. The first one really did a lot of damage last inning. 0-1, the count to Ibanez. With Utley at third, 1 ball and 1 strike. And the contrast, Eric, from the cheers and the goodwill and the feel-good feeling before this game when Bobby Cox was honored to what we see now.
That's 180 degrees. And that's what some bad baseball and getting behind 4-0 in a game that you really need to win. Really, the biggest game of the season up to this point for the Braves is today. That'll only be surpassed by the ball game tomorrow.
1-2 to Raul Ibanez here in the 8th inning. And he fouls it off the mask of the home plate umpire, Jim Joyce. Coming in, we knew with the magic number 2 that the Braves only needed to do was take care of business, winning today and tomorrow. But this is the story right now. With San Diego winning, they now trail the Giants by one game, with the finale tomorrow in San Francisco between those teams. And a loss by Atlanta will even up the wild card. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Mike Dunn, the 4th pitcher for the Braves, against Ibanez. And it's low and in the dirt, 2-2. Latos and Sanchez will be the pitchers tomorrow, and San Diego has the man they want on the mound.
Well, if they get the Latos that through most of the year up until September, that's the guy they want.
And a base hit to right field past Derek Lee. Another run comes across, and Ibanez knocking in his 2nd run in as many innings, and it's 5-0 in favor of the Phillies as Utley comes around and scores.
Again, this Philly ball club just getting warmed up. They can hurt you in so many ways. There's so many guys throughout the lineup. And remember, this is a lineup that is not featuring Jason Worth today or Carlos Ruiz, who really is the only guy on this Philly ball club that's having a career year.
Shane Victorino, 3 hits today. Takes a strike. Two down, and Ibanez now with 83 runs batted in on the season. 12 hits for the Phillies. And the ball getting away from catcher McCann, and Ibanez moves into second. By the way, Chevrolet honors the spirit of the community supporting the 2010 Roberto Clemente Award. Cast your vote for one of this year's nominees at Chevy.com/Clemente. And you could win a trip to the World Series to see the on-field announcement of the National League winner. Now, the Phillies nominee is Shane Victorino, who's at the plate right now. And the Braves nominee is Brian McCann, who's getting behind the plate. A wild pitch has been charged to Dunn to allow Ibanez to go to second. Count is 1-1 to Victorino. One ball and 2 strikes. The only one in the Phillies lineup of the top 8 not to hit safely was Ryan Howard, other than the pitcher spot. And in the 7th spot as well, where Dominic Brown and San Francisco were up, they have not hit safely either. Foul out of play, and it remains 1-2.
Yeah, but the Phillies, they have to be excited for a number of reasons. Jimmy Rollins got on base twice, a walk, a double. Shane Victorino has come back, hit the ball well. Placido Polanco, his first game back. You know, so that's what Charlie Manuel wanted to see. The victory, that's just icing on the cake. He just wanted to see these guys get ready for the postseason. And
that's down low, and he got a good pitching performance from Vance Worley. Scoreless 5-inning effort. 2 balls and 2 strikes. A pitching-rich club, you'd have to say, going into the playoffs. Joe Blanton, who has been outstanding, is going to be pitching in long relief in that first series. Two balls, 2 strikes. Mike Dunn, check swing down low, and the count is full. Ibanez, who singled and advanced on a wild pitch, is on its second. A run in for the Phillies here in the 8th inning. 5-0. Payoff pitch. Let up pitch out of play. If the Phillies go on and win this game, they will make it 5 in a row over the Braves. They swept them in a big series in Philadelphia last week, and they would have taken the first 2 here, and then would say that they would have won each of the last 9 series on the road. It's pretty impressive. All 4. So Victorino is on. Runners now at first and second. And Bobby Cox is going to come out of the dugout and make another pitching change. Kyle Farnsworth will be the 5th pitcher of the game for the Braves. We'll take a break here in Atlanta. Biggest crowd ever in Atlanta. And none of them are happy. Last night struck out 2 hitters. And the Phillies, who broke a scoreless tie with 4 in the 7th, adding 1 here in the 8th. And here's Ben Francisco, who pinch hit for Dominic Brown in the 6th, is 0 for 2, up for the 3rd time in as many innings. He is the 16th man to bat in the last 2 innings for the Phillies. First pitch, ball 1. Farnsworth back with Atlanta after a trade with Kansas City. Twice has been traded to the Braves at the trading deadline. Two down, runners at first and second. Here's a strike, 1-1.
Well, Bobby Cox just looking for somebody to get outs right now. You mentioned this is Farnsworth's second stint. Very effective his first time through. Few years ago. Number of saves. Hard thrower.
Two balls and a strike, and because of the results extending really the season to the last day, Tim Hudson, who might not have gone if the Braves had wrapped it up, will pitch tomorrow. And of course, if there is a playoff, Derek Lowe would have to go. They were hoping to save him for the playoffs as well. Tim Lincecum, if the Giants are involved, would have to go Monday too. So all of these teams are extending their pitching because the way this is being extended.
Well, and never in a million years did the Braves think that they would be in this situation. They were coming off a sweep of the Marlins. They knew that the Phillies weren't going to start. Holiday and Oswalt. They're thinking, hey, we can get this one win, wrap things up. But hasn't been the case.
2-2 pitch lifted out to right center field. Coming on over is Hayward to make the catch. And that will retire the side. The Phillies get another run. It's 5-0. Phillies lead the Braves going to the bottom of the 8th. San Francisco with a chance to tie up tomorrow with a win in San Francisco. Meanwhile, because Atlanta losing here and last night and the Padres winning, a loss for Atlanta will make it a tie in the wild card between the Braves and the Padres. And tomorrow here, it'll be Cole Hamels, who's expected to pitch just a couple of innings against Tim Hudson. Hamels is expected to be the third pitcher in the series coming up against the Reds for the Phillies with Oswalt. And there is Ross Glode, who replaces Ryan Howard at first base, and he'll be hitting in the number 9 spot. Rick Ankiel takes strike one. Ankiel 0 for 2 today. And Ryan Madson is the new pitcher for the Phillies. They're going to be counting on him in the postseason as well, getting his brief work right here. Slow hit roller to second base. And there's the first out. One out here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Today's game is presented by Gillette Odor Shield Antiperspirant. Help eliminate odor. Don't just cover it up. And sponsored by Wheaties Fuel. Prepare to win. And by Mobil 1, the world's leading synthetic motor oil brand. So Freddie Freeman is coming up to pinch hit for Farnsworth with one out here in the bottom of the 8th inning. And the first pitch is fouled off for a strike. Freeman called up September 1st, 21 years old. And how about first major league home run, a pinch hit homer off of Roy Halladay on the 21st of September.
You see those numbers by Ryan Madson. He's really been instrumental at the end of the game, whether it's closing or setting up for Brad Lidge. But that's what the starters, by them going so deep, the Phillies bullpen, they've had a lot of rest. You don't have to go deep into the bullpen. That's been the advantage. Halladay, Oswalt, and Hamels. There's one of the Roys, Oswalt.
Reaching out and hitting a ground ball going wide is Glode as he flips over to Madsen for the second out. Well, tomorrow it's a doubleheader on Fox NFL Sunday, and it begins with the Panthers taking on a Saints team looking to bounce back after a tough loss. Or you'll see the Lions and Packers, 49ers matched up against the Falcons, or the Seahawks and the Rams. And then the Redskins take on the Eagles as Donovan McNabb makes his return to Philadelphia. Some will see the Cardinals and the Chargers. Coverage begins tomorrow at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, with the Ford Fox NFL pregame show brought to you by the all-new Ford Edge Drive 1. So check your local listings for the games in your area. Michael Vick and Donovan McNabb. Vick playing behind McNabb last year, now trying to beat him. And everyone is wondering what the response is going to be in Philadelphia when McNabb comes back to the city of brotherly love. Here's Infante with a count 0-1. He's 0 for 3 today. Ground ball into the hole. Bocock, and not in time. Bocock did all he could to get to the ball.
It does a nice job, slides and turns. Unless you got a guy like me running, or maybe you, Dick, you're not going to get anybody out at first.
Thank you for putting me in that company with you. It's an honor.
It's a heck of an effort, though.
Let me keep the tape of this inning. So that's just the third hit of the game for the Braves. They had a 2-out double by Lee in the 4th, a 1-out single by Hayward in the 6th, and this 2-out infield hit by Infante. Here is Jason Hayward, who has one of the hits, of course, and takes a call strike. So Ryan Madson, who actually was the Phillies' closer earlier in the year with Brad Lidge out rehabbing his shoulder, had a couple of saves, and he blew a couple as well. But he'll be counted on with Brad Lidge, and he'll see some action before the season is over. Runner takes off, and defensive indifference should be the call, and no one covered as Infante advances. So now at the count 1-1, Infante is on at second. 5-0, the Phillies lead the Braves. And it's popping the balloon here after Bobby Cox was honored by over 80 of his former players and the fans. A standing ovation before the game, retiring after a brilliant career as a manager. And then the Braves hanging in there until the Phillies exploded for 4 runs in the 7th inning and helped along by a throwing error. McCann would be next for Atlanta. 2-1 the count to Hayward with 2 away. Takashi Saito, veteran reliever, throwing in the Atlanta bullpen. 3-1 now to Hayward. Well, the Braves fans, they've been loyal and hopeful. Down by 5 runs, they have 1 man on at its second. And the heart of their order, if Hayward can keep it going. And instead he slaps it to second base, Utley, and that'll do it. There was a hit and 1 left, and the Phillies will come up in the 9th inning, leading 5-0. Saito, he is the 6th pitcher and facing the Phillies here in the top of the 9th inning. Phillies leading 5-0, have out-hit the Braves 12-3. Brian Schneider is leading off. He is 2 for 3 with a pair of singles and a walk. 4 runs in the 7th, 1 in the 8th, and the Phillies really putting a damper on the Atlanta Braves' hopes with just tomorrow to come back. And if the Braves, who play early, were to lose tomorrow, the Giants could be the big beneficiary of all of that.
Well, they'll know their fate. They know that if the Giants or if the Braves do lose tomorrow, the Giants are automatically in. Whether they go in as a wild card or the division winner, that will depend on the outcome of their game against the Padres tomorrow. Remember, the wild card winner, if it's outside of the East, you get to see the Phillies. And so then you run into that question, do we have a better chance against the Phillies in a 5-game series or a 7-game series? Interesting. See, look at that Brave dugout right there. There's just not a lot going on.
Well, Ken Rosenthal, you want to enter this interesting discussion as we get to the last game of the regular year?
Yes, Dick. To extend the thought, if the Braves lose and the Padres then win, both teams at AT&T Park will end up celebrating after the game because the Padres will be the division champion, winning on virtue of their head-to-head record against the Giants. The Giants would go in as the wild card. Both teams would be tied. Both teams one game ahead of the Braves.
Is there a caveat here?
I will tell you, they will not celebrate. And I'll tell you who won't celebrate. The Giants will not celebrate. And I'm speaking from experience. Played on the 96 Dodgers, the only team to go to the postseason that did not celebrate. Do you know why? We lost 3 in a row to the San Diego Padres, lost the division, winning as a wild card. No popping champagne, no nothing.
Yeah, they're not going to feel good.
I promise you, the Giants will not. Well, I shouldn't say I promise you, but they're not celebrating.
3-1 the
I'll
count.
take a bet on that.
All 4 and a walk to Schneider. So this is an interesting deal going on. Of course, the Giants, when they came home to play 3 with San Diego, feeling very good about their chances of capturing that division.
Yeah, I mean, they're in exactly the same situation. And just speaking from experience, we set a precedent. There were no champagne bottles, no celebrating after you lose 3 in a row and lose the division.
Here's Ross Glode, who went in for Howard at first and was installed in the 9th spot in the order, facing Saito, and he fouls it out of play, strike 1. So how about this, guys? Let's take it a step further. Now, say the Braves go on and lose this game, win tomorrow, and the Padres beat the Giants. We will then have 2 playoff games on back-to-back nights.
Well, I don't know about 2. How do we have 2? I think we have 1 playoff game. The Giants come to play the Braves for the wild card.
Base hit to right field by Glode.
The Padres, I believe, win the division. From head-to-head, if the Padres win tomorrow against the Giants, do they not win the division?
Runners are at first and second, none out. And here is Brian Bocock up for the second time. 2 on and nobody out here, and the Phillies leading 5-0 and threatening some more. Swinging at a fastball out of the strike zone, 0-1 to Bocock.
You're right, because all 3 teams will have the same record. That's the problem. So there is no wild card. You don't know who the division winner is. The Padres play the Giants, and then the loser
plays
of that
the Braves.
Plays the Braves
on Tuesday. None of this should be surprising when you consider what's happened in the American League Central the last 2 years when, Minnesota played Chicago, and then the Twins played the Tigers last year in the 163rd game of the year. I just think it's amazing when you play that many games, 162,
right?
and things aren't decided until after that. No balls and 2 strikes. Bocock takes the ball 1-2. Wilson Valdez is on deck for the Phillies. And it's 2-2. You look at the Phillies and what they've done today with their pitching, and there you see Contreras warming up. It's almost like a Grapefruit League game, the way they have put in players for their regulars and gone to the bullpen like they have.
They have, but they've got production from the guys they needed to see today.
And they're winning 5-0. Fly ball down the left field line. Out of play. So the count remains 2-2. So stay tuned. That would be the...
Just watch tomorrow. Catch some baseball after you're watching the football on Fox.
It is a wild finish in the National League. And for those that have multiple flat screens or televisions wherever you are, you're lucky. Time called. This was a tight pitcher's duel. until the 7th inning, as Vance Worley working the first 5 innings and Tommy Hanson doing the same. And then it just imploded for the Braves. A pop-up and a play. And making the catch is Conrad for out number 1. 1 out here in the top of the 9th inning, and Wilson Valdez coming to the plate. Valdez replaced Polanco. And he's coming up for the 2nd time. Again, this is really all that counts right now. We can project and speculate, but right now, the Padres trail the Giants by 1 game, and those 2 teams play tomorrow in San Francisco in the West and in the wild card. If the Phillies go on and win, that will even up things in the wild card. 0-1 to Valdez. Brian Schneider at second. Ross Glode, the runner at first. Takashi Saito, 40-year-old right-hander. His 56th appearance of the year, trying to retire the Phillies. But a line drive right field. It is a base hit fielded by Hayward. Schneider will score. Glode will go to third, and on at second is Valdez with a double. And the Phillies add on again. 4 in the 7th, 1 in the 8th, 1 here in the 9th. It's 6-0.
Well, Valdez does a nice job to pitch low and away. You know, and he's been a real integral part of this Philly ball club this year. Filled in at short for a number of games. Played great defense. Only 3 errors all year at the shortstop position, while Jimmy Rollins on the DL.
Are you ready to move to the American League yet? John Mayberry is on deck. And they're going to walk Chase Utley. And the pitcher spot is up right now, and we're going to have Mayberry pinch hit. And that will load the bases with 1 out. Well, Fox tonight, always the trendsetter. He went for the helmet and handcuffs. Look on all-new cops. Then, to escape a life of prostitution, one girl pays the ultimate price. Help us find her killer on an all-new America's Most Wanted. It all starts tonight at 8, 7 Central on Fox. Well, here is John Mayberry, who is 3 for 11. Takes ball 1. One and 0 the count to Mayberry. And the slider misses. 2 balls and no strikes. John Mayberry, 8 of his 15 hits in the big leagues thus far have been for extra bases. Came up from AAA in the first week of September for the 2nd time. Bases loaded for the Phillies, 2 balls and no strikes. And now it's 3-0, and Saito 1 pitch away from forcing in yet another run.
The Braves just haven't been able to get any kind of consistency out of their bullpen guys. Going deep into counts, walking, giving up base hits.
And a call strike, 3-1. Yankees and Red Sox playing the first of a doubleheader after the rainout last night, and the Rays going up against the Royals. Red Sox eliminated, of course, and the Yankees' magic number was 3 to wrap it up coming into today's action. And Mayberry swings and misses, and the count is full. Scott Proctor warming up for the Braves. They have used 6 pitchers. Yankees are winning 5-4 in the top of the 8th inning. Bases loaded, 1 out. Here's the 3-2 pitch, ball 4. And Saito forces in a run. And it is now 7-0. And time for a DirecTV game break as Bobby Cox comes out and makes another pitching change. Rays and the Royals. And there it is. An extra base hit off the wall. Matt Joyce with a 2-run triple. And the Rays leading 2-0. Playing the first inning. So Saito will leave the game, and he'll be replaced by Scott Proctor, who will be the 7th pitcher of the afternoon, or I should say evening now, for the Braves. Phillies lead 7-0, and we will return to Turner Field after this. And in 2 weeks, the 2 best teams will collide in the National League Championship Series to see which team will advance to the World Series. Coverage of baseball's postseason returns October 16th with the NLCS, followed by the World Series, only on Fox. Of course, the National League winning the All-Star game get the home field advantage in the World Series. Here's Raul Ibanez, and he takes a strike. Scott Proctor on for the 6th time this year. Last appeared 18 days ago against the Washington Nationals. Has no record in 5 appearances. Ibanez hits a fly ball down the right field line, and it's foul. Ibanez in the 7th inning singled home a run and then singled home another run in the 8th, as you see that ball sailing out of play. 2 strikes to Ibanez, 1 out. 7-0 in favor of the Phillies. And they've blown this one away here. 4 in the 7th. They've added a run in the 8th, 2 here in the 9th. 14 hits to 3 to the Braves. 1-2 now to Ibanez. He is the 23rd hitter the last 3 innings to bat for the Phillies. The 1-2, breaking ball, foul.
I would have never have noticed, Dick.
That a lot of the Phillies have been coming up.
Oh, my scorebook's a mess here. But that's the thing about the Phillies. Offensively, they don't rely on 1, 2, or even 3 guys. Anybody in the lineup can hurt you. We mentioned haven't even seen Jason Worth or Carlos Ruiz, 2 regulars having excellent offensive years.
The Phillies outscoring the Braves right now 18-5 in these 2 games. Ibanez gets jammed. Count remains 1-2. There's Jason Worth. Huge year for him. Well, the Phillies came in. Of course, everyone's saying that's the class of the National League before the season. They had been in postseason. They had won a World Series a couple of years ago as Ibanez strikes out. And they ran into tough trouble. Hey, Milt Thompson was the batting coach, and he was relieved of duties during the course of this year.
Well, offensively, they haven't had the year that they had expected. And we've said it a number of times. There isn't really one player outside of Ruiz having a career year this year. Everybody else has had their struggles, whether it's injury or just one of those years. But what they have had is pitching. They go out, get Roy Oswalt. That was huge. Let's not forget Jamie Moyer also at the beginning of the year. He won 9 games for them.
Shane Victorino, 0-1 to him. He has 3 hits today. 2 singles and a double and a run batted in. Scott Proctor, first year with the Braves, his 6th year in the big leagues. Trying to put away the Phillies here in the top of the 9th inning. Did you mention not as good a year? It could be the best team that Charlie Manuel has had. They won 97 games in 93. If they win today, they got 97. And you got to go back to the late 70s when they won 101 games under Danny Ozark.
Well, I just said nobody's had the offensive year.
Correct.
Deeper, they're definitely a deeper team. When you talk about those 3 starters, wow.
And a swing and a miss, strike 3, and that will do it. Phillies add on 7-0. We go to the bottom of the 9th. The Braves coming up in the bottom of the 9th inning, trailing 7-0. A huge disappointing day on the field after a great day honoring Bobby Cox, who's retiring after 51 years in baseball. 29 years in the Braves organization. There you see all 7 runs scored in the last 3 innings. And Jose Contreras will work the 9th inning for the Phillies. Bobby Cox now coming down to the last day of the regular season and has to win and get help.
It's amazing. I think coming down, a lot of people may have pegged this, but I don't think anybody expected this road as far as getting to this point.
So Contreras, a 38-year-old from Cuba, making his 67th appearance, leads the Phillies staff in appearances. He has 4 saves and 5 opportunities. And Brian McCann, who's 0 for 3, will lead off. Struck out, flied out, and bounced back to the mound. First pitch to McCann is a call strike. Will be followed by Derek Lee and then Brooks Conrad. 54,296, the largest crowd ever for the Braves since they moved to Atlanta. And they all were here to pay tribute to Bobby Cox, fouled out of play, and then hoped that the Braves would take care of business. They could have clinched today with a victory and a Padres loss. The Braves would have wrapped up the wild card, but it's worked in reverse as the Braves down 7-0 and San Diego beat the Giants 4-2 out west. And McCann strikes out, ball getting away, and the throw by Schneider to Gload, and there's one out in the 9th inning. So let's take a look back. Bobby Cox.
You've given me the opportunity to be as good a player as I possibly could be, and just being around you and in this city. And
there you see career wins, 4th in victories, career ejections, and all that means he was backing up his players, and that's what Eric Karros pointed out when we came on the air today.
You know, it was interesting. I had a chance to talk to some umpires, and you know, they made the comment about with Bobby, every day was a new day. Didn't hold any grudges. Hey, what happened on the field, it happened at that instant, and after the game, hey, it's over. And that's something that they really respected about Bobby Cox.
Derek Lee with a double and 3 trips to the plate. 1 out in the bottom of the 9th inning, and 1-1 the count. Foul out of play. The Phillies have used 5 pitchers today, and the Braves have employed 7. Brooks Conrad on deck. Charlie Manuel steadying the ship all year long, never pressing the panic button. Takes a lot of discipline to do that. Manuel's been around a long time.
Well, and remember, right around the All-Star break, these guys were looking to, you know, when they were 7 games back, they were looking at, hey, look, maybe we trade Jason Worth. Maybe we start to go in another direction, plan for next year. And the Phillies got on a hot streak right there, and the next thing you know, they become buyers instead of sellers.
Chopper to Utley, and Lee is retired. 2 down to Brooks Conrad. And Ken Rosenthal, not everyone is surprised, really, that we're coming down to the end of this thing.
Yes, Dick, as we look ahead to tomorrow, I think back to some conversations I've had the past couple of weeks. Giants manager Bruce Bochy saying he thought it would come right down to the end. Padres GM Jed Hoyer before this weekend, hopeful, knowing that the Phillies just like to win. And finally, Bobby Cox this morning, marveling that it's come down to 3 teams for 2 spots, never imagining his team might be the one out.
Yes, that's the tough break that the Braves are looking at right now. Here's Brooks Conrad, 0 for 2 with a walk, and a call strike to him. And Bobby Cox wouldn't want it any other way, and I know that, Eric, he respects Charlie Manuel.
You don't think he wouldn't have liked it any other way?
Well,
going home tonight with a victory. That's what I think.
Well, I know, but he respects the fact that the Phillies are playing to win.
Absolutely.
That's what I mean.
Absolutely.
Swing and a miss. Yes, he would like it another way.
Well, I think, you can't mention, a lot of people thought it would come down to this final weekend, and it would come down maybe to the final day. But I'll guarantee you, on Thursday, 2 days ago, people didn't think it was going to come down to this final day.
Something about who can predict.
Yeah.
A lot of people try. No balls and 2 strikes, 1 and 2. Braves down to their last strike here. The day started on a high, and it ends about as low as it can be for the Braves and their fans. But they're not out of it yet. And strike 3, and the ball game is over. And the Phillies win 7-0 over the Braves. And let's take a look at the updated standings as the Phillies win it 7-0 over the Atlanta Braves. 1-game lead for the Giants over the Padres in the West, and the wild card is all even between the Braves and the Padres. And we'll return to Turner Field in Atlanta in just a moment.